Chapter 426. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. King Ning suddenly reached out and grabbed the crown prince consort's neck, pressing her against the tree. Speak clearly. The crown princess seemed to know that he wouldn't really strangle her near the throne room, so she wasn't afraid. She sneered. Say what? Say that you didn't kill Xiao Hong, or that Xiao Hong didn't return to the capital alive. Saying this, she removed his hand from her neck. Chunying, let's go. Chunying guiltily glanced at the two of them before leaving with the crown prince consort in small steps. Ning Wang supported himself with one hand on the tree, his eyes cold. Chi Fei, he called. The trusted aide called Chi Fei flashed over and cupped his hands. Master. Ning Wang put down the hand on the tree and looked coldly in the direction of the throne room. His thin lips opened slightly. Go investigate who entered and left the throne room in the past hour. Yes. Chi Fei moved quickly. He contacted their spies in the court and found the list of names that Ning Wang needed almost effortlessly. On the carriage, Chi Fei reported the names to Ning Wang. Grand Secretary Kong of the Cabinet, Minister Su of the Ministry of War, Minister Zhao of the Ministry of Works, Grand Secretary Yuan, Chancellor Hua, Xiao Xiuzhua. Ning Wang's hand that was stroking the jade ring on his thumb paused. Chancellor Hua? And who? Chi Fei said. Xiao Xiuzhua of the Hanlin Academy, this year's top scholar. I think he's called Xiao Lulang. Ning Wang was pensive. That person who looks like the young Marquis? Chi Fei nodded. Yes, it's him. Xiao Lulang's appearance was no secret in the court. The common people might not have heard of it, but people like Ning Wang's crown prince had heard of it. He was born in the countryside, but he passed all the trials and entered the Imperial College with excellent results. In the first spring examination, he became the top scholar. Some people said that his results were obtained by relying on his relationship with Marquis Xianping. Marquis Xianping had lost his beloved son and coincidentally met someone who looked so similar to his son, so it was inevitable that he would place his love on him. No one suspected that he was Xiao Hong because Xiao Hong was already dead. This was what everyone believed, without a doubt. As for Xiao Lulang, Prince Ning actually knew more than ordinary people. For example, the Empress Dowager was not recuperating in the temporary imperial residence. She was wandering among the commoners. During that period of time, she was rescued by Xiao Lulang and Gu Jiao. It was not important whether Xiao Lulang relied on his own power or the Emperor or the Empress Dowager's favor. If he wasn't the real Xiao Hong, Prince Ning wouldn't care about him. Xiao Hong was dead, so no matter how much Xiao Lulang resembled Xiao Hong, he would not be Xiao Hong. However, if Xiao Hong didn't die, then only Xiao Lulang would be Xiao Hong. Master, there are a few more. Do you want to hear them? Chi Fei asked. No need. Prince Ning rubbed the jade ring on his thumb. Investigate the relationship between Chancellor Hua and Xiao Lulang. He couldn't determine whether Wen Linlong's words were true or not, so he couldn't just listen to her side of the story. It wasn't hard to investigate this. Before returning to the Imperial College, it was still relatively easy for the old chancellor to hide his whereabouts. However, now that he was an official in the Imperial Court, he stepped into the eyes of the common people and left more clues. In addition, the people in the Imperial College all thought that the old chancellor was in contact with Xiao Lulang because he felt that he looked like his beloved disciple who had already passed away. No one doubted him, so he naturally didn't have to spend too much effort to hide it. In just 2 days, Chi Fei had found out about the fact that the old chancellor lived next door to Xiao Lulang. He calls the old chancellor Grandpa Gu. Chi Fei said. Prince Ning frowned. If he didn't remember wrongly, Xiao Lulang and Gu Jiao called the Empress Dowager Grandpa. The Empress Dowager and Chancellor Hua. Prince Ning furrowed his brows in annoyance. Continue. Yes. Chi Fei said it was Xiao Lulang's family who moved to Jade Water Alley first, and then Chancellor Hua moved there. Prince Ning said, Was it before or after Chancellor Hu returned to the Imperial College? Chi Fei said, before. A bold guess suddenly rose in Prince Ning's heart. After Xiao Hung died in the fire, Hu Xian's heart was like dead ashes, and he resigned and left the capital. Prince Ning originally thought that Hu Xian returned to the capital because His Majesty invited him to come out of retirement again, but now it seemed that this might not be the case. He returned to that sad place of the Imperial College because of Xiao Lulang, that place that burned his beloved disciple to death. How did he have the mood to go on duty every day? It was obvious just by looking at Princess Xinyang. She still didn't dare to return to the princess estate because she was afraid of being hurt by the scene. In the past, Prince Ning had overlooked this detail because he firmly believed that Xiao Hong was dead, and he would no longer suspect anything related to Xiao Hong. Now that he thought about it, it really was full of flaws. If Xiao Hong was still alive, then Chancellor Hu's actions and reactions would all make sense. Prince Ning rubbed his jade thumb ring, his gaze deep. Xiao Hong, young Chancellor, young Marquis. Hanlin Academy. Lulang, Lulang, Lulang. Xiao Lulang abruptly woke up from his sleep. He opened his eyes and looked up, only to see Ning Ziyuan standing in front of his table with a stunned expression. He didn't have time to withdraw the hand that was poking his shoulder. Are you okay? Ning Ziyuan looked at him strangely. You're sweating all over. Are you not feeling well? Did you not rest well last night? Xiao Lulang answered vaguely. I slept late. Ning Ziyuan suddenly understood. No wonder. I was wondering why you didn't come out after so long. Don't do this next time. If Scholar Han catches you, you'll be in trouble. Xiao Lulang didn't doze off when he was on duty, but when it was time to leave, he lay on the table for a while. He didn't expect that he would dream of the fire on New Year's Eve. He hadn't dreamed of that fire for a long time and thought he had almost forgotten. However, the fire and despair in the dream were so clear that it was suffocating. Did you come to see me for something? Xiao Lulang asked. Can't I come to see you for nothing? Ning Ziyuan raised his eyebrows and smiled. I really have something to tell you. There's a drinking party tonight. Do you want to go? I'm not going. Xiao Lulang refused without thinking. Ning Ziyuan clicked his tongue and said, Hey, you brat. I'm doing this for your own good. Scholar Han is going too. It's a proper place. Don't you want to fight for the position of attendant? You have to build a good relationship with Dr. Han. No. Xiao Lulang still refused. Fine, fine, fine. You're so young, but you're more afraid of your wife than I am. Ning Ziyuan muttered and went to the party alone. On the other side of the clinic, Gu Jiao also had a dream. She hadn't had a dream in a long time. This time, as expected, she dreamed of Xiao Lulang again. Xiao Lulang left the Hanlin Academy after his shift ended. It was snowing heavily. Xiao Lulang went to the biscuit shop that sold preserved vegetables and bought a few raw preserved vegetable biscuits. He packed them in a food box and brought them home. On his way home, he was chased by a group of assassins. Xiao Lulang wasn't a martial artist, so he couldn't beat them. However, he relied on his wisdom to get rid of the assassins. Unfortunately, he fell and fainted on his way out. He also injured his hand. Because he missed the best opportunity for treatment, his right hand was crippled by the time he was sent to the clinic. After waking up, Gu Jiao was very calm. As expected of my husband, enemies can't hurt you, but you're so rebellious. It was snowing. It was still early. It was only August. However, she remembered the faces of the assassins. Each of them had an emblem on their swords. They seemed to be from some underworld organization. Gu Jiao knew that Xiao Lulang hadn't offended anyone from the underworld. So there was only one possibility. He had hired someone to kill him. Gu Jiao decided to find Gu Chungfeng and ask him which underworld organization the emblem belonged to. She wanted to know who would want to kill Xiao Lulang in a few months. Xiao Lulang left the Hanlin Academy and went to a nearby biscuit shop. I want a few preserved vegetable biscuits. Can you make them raw? They were so hot that they were soft and didn't have the same crispy texture. Okay, there are only 6 left. How many do you want? Give them all to me. The owner wrapped the biscuit dough in bamboo leaves and put it in Xiao Liulang's food box. Xiao Lulang paid and took the food box home. When he was halfway home, Xiao Lulang faintly felt that someone was following him. He paused and looked back at the street behind him. The endless flow of people didn't seem to be strange, but the feeling of being watched became more obvious. Xiao Lulang entered the ready-made clothing store from last time. After about the time it took to burn a stick of incense, he came out. A few sneaky figures followed him silently. When he passed through a secluded area, they suddenly rushed forward and pulled him to the ground. "What are you doing?" he shouted. The few of them took a closer look and frowned. This man, with a cane and wearing the uniform of the Hamlin Academy, wasn't the one they were watching. That guy had slipped out of his shell. "You!" An assassin drew his sword in anger. Another person stopped him. "Don't complicate matters. If someone suddenly died here, the officials would be alerted, and it would be even more inconvenient for them to move." Xiao Lulang gave the waiter some silver and asked him to pretend to be him. He changed into a set of clothes from the shop and walked out through the back door. He could still walk without a cane, but limping was not as convenient as when he had a cane. When he passed by a rouge shop, he accidentally fell down. His right hand knocked against the lame opening of the shop steps, making a long gash. Blood flowed all over the floor. He didn't care about his injury and pain. He quickly got up and continued to walk forward. Brother-in-law. A 15-year-old girl in pink ran out of the rouge shop. Her clothes weren't gorgeous, but they were very delicate and pretty. Xiao Lulang didn't seem to hear her call him brother-in-law and continued to walk forward. Yao Xian lifted her skirt and chased after him with small steps. When she was about to leave the alley, she stopped in front of him. "Brother-in-law, it's really you. Do you still remember me? I've been to Bai Shui Alley. I'm Xian." Yao Xian was Yao Shirgige's daughter. Strictly speaking, she should call Xiao Lulang cousin-in-law. She didn't need to use the word cousin-in-law. Xiao Lulang frowned. It didn't matter if he remembered her or not. He didn't plan on paying attention to her. Yao Xian didn't seem to notice Xiao Liulang's alienation. Her eyes swept over and found his hand dripping with blood. Her beautiful face turned pale as she said, "Brother-in-law, what happened to your hand? Are you injured? Where did you get injured?" Xiao Lulang didn't even look at her as he continued to walk forward. Yao Xian became anxious and reached out to grab him. Xiao Lulang dodged and fell again. Yao Xian squatted down in guilt. I'm sorry, brother-in-law. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't want to push you. Were you scared by me? Your hand." With Xiao Liulang's fall, his hand extended to the ground and bled even more. Yao Xian quickly reached out to help him up. "I'll send you to the clinic." "No need." Xiao Lulang said indifferently, "Don't touch me." Yao Xian's hand froze in midair. Being rejected was always awkward. Most people would have already left in embarrassment, but Yao Xian didn't. She held back all the awkwardness and embarrassment. Pinching the handkerchief in her hand, she lowered her head and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. She softly said, You're injured so badly. At least let me bandage it for you." This was the shy and timid appearance of a young girl. When a woman tried to seduce or get close to a man could only pretend not to understand. Xiao Lulang originally only felt unfamiliar and alienated with Yao Xian. But now, his eyes were a bit colder. He looked at her coldly. "You want to be my concubine?" Yao Xian had never expected that this man would suddenly say such a thing. She was completely stunned. Xiao Lulang sat on the cold ground and looked at her with a cold smile. "What? Did I say something wrong? You don't like me? You don't want to climb into my bed?" Yao Xian's entire face turned red. She couldn't tell if it was because she was embarrassed or not. From the first time she saw him, her heart had been captivated. She thought that she would forget about him when she went back, but all she thought about was that incomparably handsome face. He was also the new top scholar, and was the emperor's most important official. Even if she had to be his concubine, she would be willing. It was just that his words were too embarrassing and a little disrespectful. This was the real Xiao Lulang. He wasn't a modest gentleman, nor was he a kind classmate. He wasn't even a good person. He was just an evil person with a dark heart. He didn't have any sympathy for the fairer sex, nor did he have any gentlemanly demeanor. He only suppressed his evil and gave Gu Jiao the Xiao Lulang she wanted to see. She wanted him to study, so he went to study. She wanted him to have friends, so he went to make some friends. She wanted him to be a good official, so on the surface, he was a fair and honest official. What was respect? He didn't understand. Yao Xian wasn't worthy. The words of climbing into his bed made Yao Xian feel a sense of humiliation that she had never felt before. Her eyes turned red as she said, I sincerely admire brother-in-law. Even if brother-in-law doesn't have any feelings for me, you don't have to humiliate me like this. Sincerely? Xiao Lulang gave a cold smile and pointed to the other side of the alley. Over there are people chasing after me. If you go and lure them away, they may or may not kill you. It all depends on your luck. Do you dare to go? Yao Xian's face turned white. Xiao Lulang sneered and used the hand that wasn't stained with blood to stand up. Yao Xian quickly said, It's not that I don't dare. It's just that it's useless even if I go. I won't be able to hold them back and will only expose brother-in-law. Xiao Lulang threw a nail at her. Pick it up. Yao Xian didn't understand and picked it up. Xiao Lulang said coldly, Swallow it. Ah. Yao Xian was so frightened that she threw the nail in her hand and it smashed into the blood on the ground. Xiao Lulang snorted, sincerely. Yao Xian said unwillingly, Has my cousin swallowed a nail for you before? She hasn't. Xiao Lulang looked at the noisy street. I can't bear to do it. If she had to swallow it, it would be me swallowing it for her. Lunatic. This man is a lunatic. Digression. Jiao Jiao. I heard that you are a treacherous official? Beauty Xiao. Oh. No, I'm obviously a good official. I heard that you're a hero of the martial arts arena? Jiao Jiao. Oh no, I'm obviously a virtuous lady. What were they thinking when they said that she drugged him and climbed into his bed? Was Lulang the kind of male lead who would give others a chance? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/110215151. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 427. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all here. Gu Jiao went to Qinghe Academy and fished Gu Chengfeng out of the men's restroom. Gu Chengfeng was about to explode with anger. Can you not always come to this kind of place to fish me out? If this happened a few more times, he would have erectile dysfunction. Gu Jiao brought him to a woodshed in the academy and pressed him to wash his hands. Gu Chengfeng. You still care about this? Gu Chengfeng slowly washed his hands. Gu Jiao thought he was too slow and grabbed him into the small woodshed. What are you doing this time? Gu Chengfeng asked in a bad mood. Last time, he risked his life to help this girl empty Ning Wang's little treasury, but in the end, not even a single gold bar was given to him. He worked as a porter for her, for free. He finally managed to hide one, but in the end, it was taken out by Little Jiao's eagle. Even the eagle was the same as her. Are you angry? Just say if you're angry. I have something to ask you. Gu Jiao casually broke off a branch and squatted on the ground to draw the emblem of two blades. Do you recognize this? Gu Chengfeng was still complaining about the gold bar. He snorted and said, Dual blade sect, what's wrong? Don't you want to rob them? I say, have you been thinking about money lately? Robbing everywhere, you're not afraid of being exposed. I'm not robbing them this time. Gu Jiao said, are they very powerful? Gu Chengfeng squatted down beside her and said in a neutral tone, that depends on who it is compared to. Compared to the Thousand Secrets Pavilion, this kind of old Jianghu organization, there is no way to compare it. However, among the new sects that have risen in recent years, it can be considered relatively outstanding. Why are you asking about this? Gu Jiao said, it's nothing. This sect may offend me in the future. What do you mean by may offend you in the future? Do you know them? Do you know divination, or do you know how to dream? Gu Jiao also asked for the Twin Blades sect's address and roughly understood their general situation. Since there was still some time before the incident, Gu Jiao decided to keep an eye on them for a period of time. After leaving the Qinghe Academy, Gu Jiao went to the Hanlin Academy. The road was a little congested. By the time they arrived at the Hanlin Academy, it was already past the end of the shift. Gu Jiao saw that the biscuit shop was still open. She thought for a moment and walked over to ask, Boss, do you still have preserved vegetable biscuits? The boss smiled and said, your husband bought the last few dried vegetables. Because they always patronized his business, the people in the bakery already knew that Gu Jiao and Xiao Lulang were a couple. Did my husband buy it raw? Gu Jiao asked subconsciously. Most people would not buy raw meat. Her question was very strange. In fact, even she felt it was strange. The shopkeeper thought that she had instructed her husband to buy raw meat and was worried that her husband would buy the wrong one. So she asked. The shopkeeper smiled and said, it's raw. Gu Jiao thought, is it a coincidence? In her dream, something happened on the day he bought the dried vegetable biscuits, but that happened 2 or 3 months later. Not every day he bought the dried vegetable biscuits would have an accident. Even though she thought this, Gu Jiao still went to the place where he had an accident. It was an old rouge shop. Its business had been snatched up by the surrounding shops, so there were very few customers coming in and out. Perhaps it was because of this that the scene was well preserved. No one had discovered or destroyed it. Gu Jiao saw the dried bloodstains on the ground. Gu Jiao crouched down and carefully looked at the traces of the bloodstains. In her mind, she couldn't help but imagine the scene of him falling down again and again. Yes, he fell down twice. The first time was when he knocked on the door of the shop, cutting the web between his thumb and forefinger in his arm. The second time was when he fell on the ground a few steps forward. There was a bloody handprint where he supported himself. In her dream, he only fell once. It was a world of ice and snow. He fell quite miserably and fainted on the spot. What's going on? Did the things in the dream happen in advance? This was the first time Gu Jiao encountered this kind of situation. She didn't have any experience and didn't know if her guess was right. This bloodstain could be someone else's. If it's a mistake, then it's a mistake. She definitely couldn't gamble with Xiao Liulang's life. It would be best if it wasn't Xiao Lulang. If it was, then it wouldn't delay the time to save him. His hand couldn't be crippled, and his life couldn't be lost. Gu Jiao followed the trail of blood all the way. When she found a sparsely populated old street, the blood trail suddenly disappeared. There were 2 possibilities. 1, the bleeding stopped. 2, he was kidnapped here. Moreover, it wasn't by Qinggong, but by a carriage. Using Qinggong in broad daylight would be easy to be discovered, and there would still be some bloodstains left behind. But Gu Jiao didn't find anything even after searching the outer walls. With her husband's unlucky body, it was unlikely that the bleeding stopped. It was more likely that he was accidentally kidnapped. Gu Jiao's guess was right. Xiao Lulang was indeed unlucky to be kidnapped. He had clearly shaken off those assassins and went to hire a carriage. Xiao Lulang hadn't been to that old street for a long time, so he didn't have a deep impression of it. Thus, he found a carriage and asked for directions. The carriage he asked for just happened to be the assassin's carriage. This was what it meant to wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching for something, only to find it without any effort. The assassin opened the window with a dumbfounded expression. What the hell was this? Xiao Lulang was so unlucky as he was kidnapped by the assassin into the carriage. There were a total of 4 assassins. 2 were driving the carriage outside, while the other 2 were keeping an eye on Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang was tied up and blindfolded. They didn't plug the cloth. If it was too thin, he would be able to spit it out. If it was too thick, he would suffocate. Isn't there still air through his nose? Assassin B asked. Assassin A glared at him and said, "What if his nose is blocked? Did you forget how that person died last time?" Assassin B recalled a hostage they had captured. They had stuffed his mouth, but his nose was blocked. In the end, he died halfway through. Assassin B didn't say anything. Assassin A's knife pointed at Xiao Liulang's handsome face and threatened, "Don't make a sound. Do you hear me? If you dare to make a sound, I'll cut off your tongue." Xiao Lulang leaned against the wall of the carriage and ignored him. He couldn't see and couldn't walk, but by listening to the sounds on both sides of the street and smelling the fragrance coming from the shops, he could roughly guess that the carriage was going through Luoyang Street and was approaching the East City Gate. Could it be that they wanted to take him out of the city? Xiao Liulang's guess was quickly confirmed. He heard the unusual sound of horse hooves. This was the sound of horse hooves stepping on the official road near the city gate. When it was almost their turn, a group of armored horses suddenly rushed over. Judging from the sound of horse hooves and armor, it seemed to be the Imperial Guards of the palace. The leader of the Imperial Guard said, "Anyone who leaves the city will be strictly checked." "Brother, why is there suddenly a strict check?" Assassin B asked in a panic. "Could it be that we've been exposed?" "It can't be that fast." Xiao Lulang also felt that it was strange. Only the Emperor and the Empress Dowager could mobilize the Imperial Guards. He had just been captured, but the Emperor and the Empress Dowager already found out? It was not too late. Even if he didn't go home, he wouldn't be thought to have been captured by the assassins. Xiao Lulang couldn't figure out the problem, so it was even more impossible for the assassins to figure it out. But it was one thing to not figure it out, and another to have a way to deal with it. Hit his acupoints. Assassin A said. Assassin B hit Xiao Liulang's acupoints. Assassin B seemed to have realized something. He scratched his head and said, brother? If you can hit his acupoints, why did we waste time to kidnap him?" Assassin A said, "No one will think you're mute if you don't talk." Xiao Lulang, who had been hit on his acupoints, could not move or make a sound. The cloth covering his eyes was pulled off, and in the next moment, something cold was stuck to his face. It was the rumored human skin mask. Of course, it was not made of human skin. The original material was fish skin. It was just that it had been processed to look like human skin. This kind of mask had some flaws up close, but from a distance, it could almost be mistaken for the real thing. Perhaps the Imperial Guards did not expect the people of Jianghu to use such an evil method. They successfully left the city. Brother, it's not good. The soldiers have also left the city. They're coming. Assassin B looked at the Imperial Guards, who had also left the city, and said. Assassin A frowned and looked at Xiao Lulang. He said, "We can't be discovered so quickly. Forget it. They might not be looking for him. Just be careful." Assassin B asked, "Then are we still going with the original plan?" Assassin A thought for a moment. He was still a bit worried about the Imperial Guards. He said, "Take the small path." The group gave up on the main road and changed to a small country road. They passed through a small village and waited for the Imperial Guards to leave before returning to the main road. Assassin B said in a small voice, "Let's go slower. If we go faster, we'll run into the Imperial Guards in front." He had a feeling that the Imperial Guards were here to capture them. Assassin A was also troubled. Wasn't he just a poor government official from the countryside? It would be fine if he was captured. Why would the Imperial Guards be here? Brother, they're from the government. Assassin B looked at the group of people coming from behind. There were 4 bailiffs. The 4 of them rode on horses and escorted a prisoner carriage. Inside the prisoner carriage sat a prisoner wearing a prisoner's uniform with his hands and feet shackled. Assassin A suddenly had an idea. Kidnap the prisoner carriage. The four of them could easily kidnap a few bailiffs from the government. The four of them knocked the bailiffs unconscious and threw them into the nearby bushes. Go, open the prisoner carriage. Assassin A took the key from the bailiffs and threw it to Assassin B. Assassin B went to open the prisoner carriage and said to the prisoner inside, "Okay, you can go now." Prisoner, "I don't want to go, thank you." Assassin B slapped him hard on the face and called him out. He took off his prisoner clothes and shackles and put them on Xiao Lulang. His actions were naturally not gentle. Xiao Liulang's hand was already injured. After being treated so rudely, the wound that had just scabbed over was torn open again. Blood flowed all over the ground. Assassin A complained, "Be careful. Don't kill him before you get the money. Find something to bandage him." Where would there be anything to bandage him? Assassin B tore off a piece of Xiao Liulang's uniform and wrapped it around him. The assassins changed into bailiffs' uniforms and rode on the bailiffs' horses. They brazenly went to their destination. The assassin's bandage was not very good. Xiao Liulang's wound was still bleeding. His pressure points had been sealed, so he could not wrap the cloth tighter around him. The carriage traveled a bit on the official road. They ran into Minister Zhao of the Ministry of Works, who had just returned from outside. Minister Zhao was also participating in the examination of the 6 ministries. Xiao Lulang was the invigilator, so the two had met before. Xiao Lulang tried to ask Minister Zhao for help. Perhaps Assassin B's pressure point sealing was not good enough. Xiao Lulang was already able to move slightly. However, he was not sure if this move would be enough to attract Minister Zhao's attention. He was very careful. The prisoner carriage jolted, and he fell forward. It looked like he did not sit properly and fell down. His shoulder and head heavily hit the prisoner carriage. The loud noise startled Minister Zhao, who lifted the curtain. However, he only glanced at the prisoner carriage before putting the curtain back down. It was clear that he did not plan on interfering with the work of the other government offices, so he did not suspect anything. The two sides quickly passed each other. Minister Zhao's carriage was far away. Xiao Lulang knew that his hope had been extinguished. This might be his last hope, because they were almost at their destination. "Big brother, look. We're almost there. It's right in front." Assassin B was so excited that he almost rushed out on his horse. Assassin A stared at him. "Don't mess around. Be careful of attracting the Imperial Guards." Right. We can't attract the Imperial Guards." Assassin B giggled as he agreed. The group of people followed the official road to a T-junction. They did not continue on the official road, but turned into a small road. Right at this time, another carriage came from the other side of the official road. Xiao Lulang only lightly swept his eyes over it and his body froze. He suddenly did not care about hiding the fact that he could move slightly. He turned his face and lowered his head, trying to not let the other party see him. He had forgotten that he was wearing a human skin mask. So what if they saw him? They wouldn't recognize him. "Princess, there's a prisoner's carriage in front." In the carriage, Yujin whispered to Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang said, "Then go slower. Let the prisoner's carriage pass first." "Yes," Yujin answered. She lifted the curtain and said to the coachman, "Go slower." The coachman slightly tightened the reins and slowed down. After the prisoner's carriage passed, they continued to speed up. Long Yi spurred his horse and also followed them. Suddenly, Long Yi stopped. Princess Xinyang did not hear the sound of Long Yi's horse. She frowned and lifted the curtain to take a look. Sure enough, Long Yi's figure was nowhere to be seen. "Stop," Princess Xinyang said. "Yes." The coachman stopped the carriage. Princess Xinyang signaled Yujin to open the rear window. Yujin opened the curtain and opened the rear window. Princess Xinyang saw Long Yi riding the carriage and stopping at the intersection. He stared at the prisoner's carriage without blinking. Princess Xinyang looked at the prisoner's carriage. Her expression did not change at all. She said, "Long Yi, let's go." Long Yi did not leave. In the prisoner's carriage, Xiao Lulang dripped blood. Drop by drop, it all spilled on the road. Long Yi got off the horse. Princess Xinyang coldly said, "Don't touch the prisoner's carriage." Shadow Dragon Guard would not disobey his master's orders. Princess Xinyang did not allow him to touch the prisoner's carriage, so he really did not touch it. The next second, he slashed with his sword. The 4 assassins were chopped to death on the spot. Long Yi calmly put away his sword. He walked over and directly grabbed Xiao Yolang's cage. Princess Xinyang angrily looked at him. He rolled his eyes. Because his hands were busy, he could only use the tip of his foot to kick the carriage. It was as if he was saying, "Here, the prisoner's carriage is here. I did not touch it. What I touched was the cage." Digression. On 100 Ways to Anger Your Master to Death, give me a warm monthly ticket? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110188676. HTML Genius will remember this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 428. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Fortunately, Princess Xinyang didn't suffer from depression. Otherwise, sooner or later, she would be angered by Long Yi. Of course, Princess Xinyang could order Long Yi to put down the cage, throw it away, or abandon it. However, Long Yi didn't know if he had guessed her master's temperament of ordering people around. So he directly ran away with the cage in his arms. He left Princess Xinyang with only the back of his head, which seemed to say, run away, I can't hear you." Yujin's expression was indescribable. She turned to look at Princess Xinyang, opened her mouth, and said, "Princess." Princess Xinyang's face was cold, and she didn't say anything. She casually put down the curtain. The imperial city was under martial law. Not only were there strict checks outside the city, but also inside the city. The guards guarding the city were on high alert. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, and it was as if an afterimage flashed in front of their eyes. The guards looked at each other in dismay. "What happened just now?" "I don't know." "Did you see it?" It seemed like something passed by, but it also seemed like it didn't. They looked inside the city. Where was the shadow of a person on the empty streets? So, were their eyes playing tricks on them? Collectively playing tricks on them. Soon, Princess Xinyang's carriage arrived at the city gate. After checking the token, the guards respectfully saluted and let Princess Xinyang's carriage pass. At the same time, the imperial guards who went to chase after the assassins gradually realized that the assassins might not have gotten to the front. A group of people returned along the way. On the way back, they found the prisoner carriage that had been stolen and the 4 bailiffs who were already cold. Another group of imperial guards found the real bailiffs who had been knocked unconscious in a bush 3 miles away. After the bailiffs woke up, they told them about how they had been robbed. The prisoner ran away. Could it be that his friends stole the prisoner carriage? An imperial guard asked. A bailiff said, "Impossible. That prisoner is a wily old fox. He doesn't have any powerful friends." As they were speaking, the prisoner, released by the assassins, obediently returned. From his mouth, the imperial guards found out that there were 4 assassins. They seemed to have captured another person. Their purpose of disguising themselves as bailiffs was to quietly transfer the hostage under the noses of the imperial guards. The prisoner did not see what the hostage looked like, but the guards boldly guessed that the hostage was Xiao Lulang. The assassin had been killed, and Xiao Lulang had disappeared. Who had taken him away? And where was it taken? "We've been guarding the main road, but we didn't see anyone pass by. Could it be they've returned to the capital? One of the Imperial Guards guessed. The leader of the Imperial Guard said, "Have you carefully checked all the carriages entering the capital?" The subordinate said, "There are 2 people whose carriages were not checked." The leader of the Imperial Guards frowned. "Who is it?" The subordinate said, "Minister Zhao and Princess Xinyang's carriage." On Vermilion Bird Avenue, the carriage stopped outside the residence. Princess Xinyang and Yujin got off the carriage. As expected, he had already brought back the cage. To be exact, he had brought back the person in the cage. He took off the inferior human skin mask on his face, took off his blood-stained prison clothes, and changed into a set of dry clothes. The clothes were somewhat small, not to mention that the lapel could not be tied. The sleeves and trousers were also much shorter. As before, He placed the prisoner on Princess Xinyang's bed. Xiao Liulong's breath was somewhat weak. It was unknown whether he was tired or had lost too much blood, but he had fainted. Princess Xinyang walked over with an indifferent expression, but stopped when she was about to cross the threshold. However, Yujin quickly walked into the room and looked at the man in front of the bed. She did not know who the prisoner He had brought back was, nor did she know why He had done so. One should know that this was the princess' bedroom. It would be terrible if a shady person was allowed to lie here. However, when she arrived in front of the bed and saw the pale, handsome face, she was stunned. "Princess." Yujin walked out with a shocked expression. She didn't know when, but Princess Xinyang had turned around and was looking at the boundless night sky. Inside the person inside he looks like Yujin simply did not know what to say. She spoke incoherently for a long time. Then, she hardened her heart and said, "He is the Hamlin official that I told you about last time. He looks like the young Marquis. No wonder He brought him back. He must have mistaken him for the young Marquis. Princess, quickly come in and take a look. Don't blame He for recognizing the wrong person. They really look too similar. I almost suspected that the young Marquis had come back to life. Moreover, their ages are similar. If the young Marquis was still alive, he should be around this age." Princess Xinyang did not speak. "Princess, I didn't lie to you, Yujin's words came to an abrupt end when she saw Princess Xinyang's expression. Princess Xinyang's face was as cold and lonely as before. Her eyes were complicated and seemed to be mixed with many emotions, but there was no surprise. All of Yujin's voice disappeared. However, it only took a moment for Eugene to find it again. "Princess, you know." Yujin wanted to ask when she knew. Was it when He had rescued the prisoner carriage, or earlier? Princess Xinyang turned around and went to the study next door. Yujin came to the door and intended to enter the room, but she felt the great alienation and loneliness of Princess Xinyang. She did not want anyone to enter the room. Yujin stopped outside the doorway and stared blankly at Princess Xinyang, who was shrouded in darkness. Her eyes moved and she asked, "Princess, is he the young Marquis?" Xiao Liulong's injury was very serious. Yujin went to the nearby medical hall to invite a doctor. The doctor looked at the injury and said that he was unable to save the injured hand with his medical skills. This hand was injured once, fell once, and was tossed around by the assassin many times. It was not better than being frozen in the snow for several hours. The doctor still had a conscience and said with a sigh, "I heard that the doctor of Miracle Hand Hall has outstanding medical skills. He can even reconnect a broken hand. Madam, it would be better to go to Miracle Hand Hall and find a doctor to take a look." Just when Yujin intended to go to Miracle Hand Hall to invite a doctor, Gu Jiao came. Gu Jiao had received the news from the Imperial Guards. Her intuition told her that Xiao Lulang was saved by Princess Xinyang. As for whether it was Princess Xinyang or Yi who saved him, she did not know. Yujin was slightly surprised. "Miss Gu?" Gu Jiao said, "Is my husband here?" Yujin confusedly looked at her. "Your husband?" Gu Jiao said with a serious face, "Hanlin official, Xiao Lulang." Eugene was speechless once again. She feared that all the surprises in her life were used tonight. Gu Jiao went to Princess Xinyang's room. At this moment, She did not have time to ponder about Yujin or Princess Xinyang's psychological activities. She immediately checked Xiao Liulong's injuries. Just like in the dream, his right hand was injured. Even the location of the wound was exactly the same. However, he had encountered other things on the way, so his injuries were more serious than in the dream. At this point, she was finally able to conclude that the matter in the dream had been brought forward. She just couldn't figure out why it was brought forward. Gu Jiao opened the small medicine box and took out disinfectant to clean Xiao Liulong's wound. The place that had scabbed over with great difficulty once again oozed blood. Gu Jiao smelled the scent of fresh blood. She closed her eyes and began an arduous cultivation. Gu Jiao came out of the room less than half an hour later. The operation on Xiao Lulang was far more difficult than the operation on other patients. This man's temptation to her was too big. Even his blood made her more excited than other people's blood. She had no choice but to spend more effort to suppress it. It was over half an hour later. Xiao Lulang lay quietly on the bed within 4 drip. Yujin brought in a basin of hot water. It was the first time she had seen such a strange thing. She couldn't help but take a second look. "Thank you." Gu Jiao accepted the hot water and wiped Xiao Liulong's face and hands. "Dr. Gu." Yujin hesitated. "What's the matter?" Gu Jiao asked. "Can you go see the princess?" "Tell the princess." Yujin glanced at the unconscious Xiao Lulang and swallowed the words "young duke." "The patient's condition." "Okay." Gu Jiao put down the handkerchief and went to the study next door. There were no lamps in the study. Only the cold moonlight and the scattered candles in the corridor shone in. Princess Xinyang sat by the window sill with her back to the door. Gu Jiao gently knocked on the already open door, then walked over. She sat down in front of Princess Xinyang. "What are you doing here?" Princess Xinyang indifferently asked. She didn't raise her head to look at Gu Jiao and continued to look at the night outside the window. Gu Jiao said, "His injury is not serious. I came to inform the princess." Princess Xinyang indifferently said, "What does it have to do with me whether he is okay or not?" Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. "If it has nothing to do with you, then why did you take him in?" Princess Xinyang indifferently said, "It was Long Yi who picked him up." Gu Jiao, "Oh." Princess Xinyang expressionlessly looked at Gu Jiao. "You don't believe me? Long Yi picked you up." Gu Jiao strangely asked, "Does Long Yi often pick people up like this? He picks one up and throws one on your bed?" Princess Xinyang coldly looked at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao rested her elbows on the table and rested her chin on her hands as she looked at Princess Xinyang. "Princess, you recognized him long ago, didn't you? You also inquired about him and knew about my relationship with him. So that night you didn't throw me out?" She was wondering why Princess Xinyang would be so merciful and let her, a doctor from the medical hall, who she had only met once or twice, occupy her princess bed. "Are the mooncakes delicious?" He personally went to buy the red dates. Gu Jiao asked. At this moment, if she couldn't guess who the mooncakes were made for, then it would be unreasonable. No wonder he took the initiative to go to the palace to deliver mooncakes, and even brought the date paste filling that her great-aunt didn't like. Princess Xinyang turned her face, unpalatable. Gu Jiao said, "So you ate it?" Princess Xinyang choked. "I didn't eat it, Yujin ate it." Gu Jiao, "So you accepted it?" Princess Xinyang, "Where did this girl learn the skill of digging holes for others?" Gu Jiao actually didn't understand. Originally, she thought that Xiao Lulang hated Princess Xinyang, so he didn't want to recognize her, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. As for Princess Xinyang's attitude toward Xiao Lulang, Gu Jiao was even more puzzled. She thought that Princess Xinyang didn't know that her son had returned to the capital alive, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. This mother and son pair was really strange. Xiao Liulong's main injury was on his right hand, and the rest of his body only had some light abrasions. The reason why he was unconscious was because he had lost too much blood and was too tired. But Long Yi seemed to think that he had suffered a very serious injury, and even his mood was depressed, so he didn't bother Gu Jiao anymore. Gu Jiao felt that this was very good. At least her little hand had escaped a disaster. But seeing Long Yi so unhappy, Gu Jiao decided to compensate him in other ways. Eugene made snacks for Gu Jiao, and Gu Jiao left half for Long Yi. Seeing that she only ate half, Eugene asked, "Is it not tasty?" Gu Jiao said, "No, I left it for Long Yi." Long Yi is unhappy? Eugene looked at Long Yi inside the room. Long Yi was Shadow Dragon Guard. So how could he be unhappy? Eugene asked, "How did you know?" Gu Jiao said, "I felt it." Eugene was puzzled. Why didn't I feel it? In fact, no one felt it. Long Yi was occasionally disobedient, but he didn't have any emotion, so they couldn't feel it. Gu Jiao touched the bridge of her nose. She thought that everyone could feel Long Yi's emotion. Could it be that only she could? The news of Xiao Liulong's injury finally reached the palace. At that time, the crown princess was reporting the recent situation of the female school to the emperor in the imperial study. She happened to hear the report of the imperial guards, saying that Xiao Liulang was kidnapped by assassins and was injured. Now, her whereabouts were unknown. Gu Jiao had a guess in her heart, but she didn't tell the imperial guards. Therefore, the imperial guards didn't know that Xiao Liulang was already saved. The emperor was furious, still not sending people to look for her. Wait. The emperor stopped the imperial guard leader who was about to retreat. The imperial guard leader saluted, "Your Majesty." The emperor pondered, "Call Ningguang." After such a big thing happened, the first person that the emperor thought of was not the crown prince, but his eldest son. Yes. After coming out of the imperial study, the crown princess's face was pale. Crown princess. Chunying followed behind her and looked worriedly at her, who looked like she would collapse in the next second. She said in a small voice, "You are injured, and the crown prince said to let you stay in the eastern palace to recuperate. Why are you in such a hurry to come here?" The crown princess didn't answer her and asked in a daze, "Chunying, did you hear what I said just now?" Chunying didn't answer. The crown princess indeed felt that her body couldn't take it anymore. She reached her hand to the side, to Chunying. A large and powerful hand supported her arm. When that scorching body temperature burned her skin through her thin clothing, her body stiffened, and she suddenly turned to look at the other person. When she saw who it was, she suddenly broke free from the other person's hand and retreated a few steps. "Chunying," she called. However, Chunying had already retreated somewhere. Ningguang walked forward unhurriedly and looked behind her. He said playfully, "There is a pool behind you, be careful." The crown princess turned her head to look, and her throat moved. She composed herself and turned her head to look at him coldly. "Did you do it?" Ningguang smiled. "What do you mean by didn't do it?" The crown princess said angrily, "Stop pretending." Ningguang crossed his arms and said helplessly, "Yes, it was this prince who did it." Nothing happened to this prince, but something happened to Xiao Liulang. Are you very disappointed? The crown princess's eyes flashed and she looked away. "I don't understand what you are saying." Ningguang smiled softly and raised his hand to caress her temples. He said gently, "Linlang, this prince isn't so easy to deal with. If you think you can use Xiao Heng and Princess Xinyang to get rid of this prince, then you are too naive. This prince won't bicker with you this time, but there won't be a next time, understand? The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are read for free. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_89642/110164052. HTML Genius remembers this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 429. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are all available here. His tone was the most gentle whisper in the world, and his gaze was filled with deep emotion. However, the crowned princess still felt a chill run down her spine. Her entire body was frozen in place, and it seemed as though she could not say a single word. Prince Ning gently caressed her face and quietly said, "Lin Lang, ever since the day you and this prince caused Xiaoheng's death, you have already been unable to clear your name. Could it be that you still don't understand this logic?" The crowned princess' gaze became fierce. "I did not harm him. It was you. From beginning to end, it was you. It was you who followed me to the directorate. It was you who killed him." Prince Ning raised his hand and patted the back of her head. "If it was not for you calling him out alone, how could this prince have had the chance? Admit it, Lin Lang. You are also an accomplice in causing his death." "I am not. I have never harmed Ahung." The crowned princess reached out to push him away. "I don't want to see you. Leave." Prince Ning's hand that was patting the back of her head suddenly tightened. "Lin Lang. Lin Lang. Chunning, why are you here? Where is the crowned princess? Didn't you go with the crowned princess to the imperial study?" Not far away, the crowned prince's puzzled voice could be heard. Immediately following this, Chunning replied with a guilty conscience, "The crowned princess, The crowned princess coldly looked at Prince Ning. Prince Ning fiercely and silently said, "You know what you should do. Don't anger me. You cannot bear the consequences, one Lin Lang." He let go. The crowned princess staggered and nearly fell to the ground. What was that sound? Because they were too close. In the instant that Prince Ning let go of the crowned princess, the crowned prince had already walked over. He saw the pale-faced crowned princess and the gentle and calm Prince Ning. He furrowed his brow, as he instinctively did not like his own woman standing with another man, even if that man was his own older brother. Eldest brother? He strangely walked over. Prince Ning smiled and said, "Father ordered me to go to the imperial study to meet him. Coincidentally, second sister-in-law was coming out of the imperial study, and we ran into each other." So that was the case. The crowned prince secretly thought that he was overthinking things. Ning Wang was his elder brother. Even if they were not from the same mother's womb, they still had the same father. Lin Lang was his younger sister-in-law. How could there be anything between them? The crowned prince came to the crowned princess' side and held the crowned princess' hand. Feeling the coldness of her fingertips, his brows furrowed even more. "Why is your hand so cold? I've already said that you're injured. If there's anything, you can report it to Imperial Father in a few days. Imperial Father gave me the girls' school, so I should take care of it carefully." As the crowned princess spoke, she felt King Ning's death stare. She imperceptibly withdrew her hand from the crowned prince's grasp. "I'm fine, just a bit tired. Your Highness, let's go back." After the Mid-Autumn Festival, the weather seemed to have suddenly turned cold. The wind in the morning and evening carried a hint of the chill of autumn. The crowned prince took off his cloak and draped it over the crowned princess, carefully tying the ribbon for her. Ning Wang stared at the two with a burning gaze. The crowned princess grabbed the crowned prince's hand and gently moved it away. She took the ribbon herself. "I'll do it myself." "Oh." The crowned prince was a bit disappointed. He wanted to do these small things for Lin Lang. However, with his elder brother here, it did not seem good for them to be too intimate. He turned to look at Ning Wang. Ning Wang's eyes had already regained their gentleness. He said, "Elder brother, we'll go back first. Since you've been summoned, then go quickly." Ning Wang paused and turned to look at the crowned prince, who was leaving with the crowned princess in his arms. He said, "Why don't second brother come with me to see Imperial Father? It seems that something has happened. Even the Imperial Guards have been mobilized." "Is that so?" The crowned prince was a bit hesitant. Ning Wang smiled. "Forget it. If you want to accompany second sister-in-law, I'll go see Imperial Father myself." When he said this, his gaze unintentionally swept across the crowned princess' face. The crowned princess felt an endless threat. She clenched her hand and said to the Crown Prince, "Your Highness, you should go take a look." The Crown Prince said, "I'm worried about you." The Crown Princess lowered her eyes and said, "With Chunning accompanying me, what is there for your Highness to be worried about?" In the end, under the Crown Princess's persuasion, the Crown Prince reluctantly went. After he went, he found out that Xiao Lulang had been captured by assassins and his whereabouts were unknown. Imperial Father wanted Ning Wang to lead troops to look for him. Since he also went, Imperial Father also gave him a group of troops. In the middle of the night, he could not return to the Eastern Palace to accompany Lin Lang. He had to search for Xiao Lulang aimlessly on the streets. The Crown Prince was extremely sullen. Really, isn't he just like Xiao Hong? He's not the real Xiao Hong. Why does Imperial Father think so highly of him? He even made me, the Crown Prince, lower my status to look for him. At this moment, Xiao Lulang, who the Crown Prince was painstakingly searching for, was quietly lying on the bed of Princess Xinyang. Gu Jiao helped him change the last infusion bottle. It was already late at night. Gu Jiao and Long Yi were quietly guarding him in the room. Gu Jiao was sitting on the edge of the bed, and Long Yi was sitting on the beam of the room. After finishing the infusion bottle for Xiao Lulang, Gu Jiao was lying on the edge of the bed, unable to resist her sleepiness, and fell asleep. Long Yi's eyes were wide open from beginning to end, like an owl that did not sleep. After an unknown amount of time, the entire Vermilion Bird Avenue quieted down. Only the steady breathing of a few people remained in the room. Suddenly, the door of the room was gently pushed open from the outside. A spotlessly white embroidered shoe stepped over the threshold and silently landed on the floor, which was as bright and clean as new. The elegant golden skirt was like floating gold leaf on the surface of a lake, slowly meandering across the room. Xiao Lulang was in a daze from sleep. He wanted to open his eyes, but he didn't have the strength. While half asleep, he felt a gentle and white hand press against his forehead. He didn't know whose hand it was, nor did he know whether he was dreaming or not. That hand pressed against his forehead for a while, then left. When Xiao Lulang completely opened his eyes, he only saw Gu Jiao lying on his side, sleeping. His hand was held in Gu Jiao's hand, and Gu Jiao's other hand was pressed under her body. In this position, no matter what, she couldn't free her hand to touch his forehead. So, was it just a dream? It was pitch black, and he was only half awake. For a moment, he didn't realize where he was. This environment, this atmosphere didn't make him feel disgusted, but it also didn't make him feel unfamiliar. He pulled the blanket over Gu Jiao's shoulder, then took out the hand that Gu Jiao had pressed under her body. He closed his eyes and fell asleep again. For the time being, Gu Jiao didn't announce that Xiao Lulang had escaped danger. In her dream, she only knew that someone had hired someone to plot against Xiao Lulang, but she didn't know who that person was. The other party didn't know that Xiao Lulang was safe, so they might be frantically searching for Xiao Lulang's whereabouts. As for Princess Xinyang, she didn't seem to have leaked any information about Xiao Lulang. At the first glimmer of dawn, Gu Jiao returned to Jade Water Alley. She had to let her family know that she was safe. While she was at it, she packed a few sets of Xiao Lulang's clothes for him to change into. Actually, she wouldn't be afraid if the mastermind had been caught, but now that they were in the open and the enemy was in the dark, it was hard to guard against them. Gu Jiao thought it over. It was safer here with Princess Xinyang. As long as Princess Xinyang didn't chase them away, she would pretend not to see the slight disdain on her face. What Gu Jiao didn't know was that right after she left, the Crown Prince consort arrived. She came to visit Princess Xinyang. At the same time, she also wanted to confirm something with Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang slept late last night and didn't close her eyes until dawn. However, the servant girls in the courtyard recognized the Crown Prince consort and understood that she was someone Princess Xinyang cared about, so they still invited her into the courtyard. This servant will call Lord Yujin. The servant girl was furious. The Crown Prince consort said, "No need. You can go do what you need to do. This consort will go find Yujin." Yujin was currently drying clothes in the inner courtyard. She held the position of sixth-rank official in the Household Orders Department of Princess Xinyang's estate. Sixth rank wasn't considered too high a rank in the capital, but it was a different story if she was Princess Xinyang's trusted official. For as long as the Crown Prince Consort could remember, Yujin had been by Princess Xinyang's side and was one of Princess Xinyang's closest people. Lord Yujin. The Crown Prince Consort walked over and greeted her politely. With Yujin's status, there was no need for her to personally do this kind of drying work. The Crown Prince Consort couldn't help but take a second look. Then she froze. It was a man's clothing. Princess Xinyang had hidden guards, but the Crown Prince Consort didn't believe that Yujin would wash the clothes of a hidden guard. As the Marquis returned, the Crown Prince Consort's first reaction was that Marquis Xianping had returned to the capital to reunite with Princess Xinyang. Even though they didn't get along, they were still husband and wife. It wouldn't be strange for Marquis Xianping to come here. Ah no. Yujin shook her head. She didn't know how to explain. This was Xiao Liulang's clothing. After a night of thinking and observation, Yujin could more or less confirm Xiao Liulang's identity. But the princess hadn't said anything yet, so she couldn't say it now. When the Crown Prince Consort saw that Yujin couldn't answer, some rumors she had heard flashed through her mind. Princess Xinyang and Marquis Xianping didn't get along. Marquis Xianping was promiscuous outside, and Princess Xinyang also had her own gigolo. Of course, this was just a rumor. The Crown Prince Consort never believed it. But this man's clothing, don't misunderstand. It's not the princess, it's me. Yujin decided to take the blame herself. A strong hint of astonishment flashed through the Crown Prince Consort's eyes. Yujin cleared her throat and said, "Please keep this a secret for me, Crown Prince Consort." The Crown Prince Consort came back to her senses. Speaking of which, this Lord Yujin was an extraordinary woman. She had never married. If she was outside, she might be criticized behind her back. But because she was in the Princess Fu and had Princess Xinyang's protection, no one dared to embarrass her. This could be regarded as a good opportunity to win over Yujin. The Crown Prince Consort smiled and said, "Lord Yujin, rest assured. I didn't see anything today." With Crown Prince Consort's words, "I'm relieved." Yujin simply smiled, more unsightly than crying. Princess Xinyang was still sleeping, so she couldn't wake her up. The Crown Prince Consort asked herself whether she had such big face, so she decided to come again another day. She bid farewell to Yujin, and when she passed by the room of Princess Xinyang, she heard movement inside the room. She thought that Princess Xinyang had woken up, so she intended to enter the room to pay respects to Princess Xinyang. But Long Yi, who had jumped down from the beam of the room, firmly blocked the door. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that you can't find online are all available here. https://www.zhpqg.com/89642_8964286/1101391880. HTML Genius will remember this website's address in 1 second. www.zhpqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhpqg.com. Chapter 430. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all here. Crown Princess recognized him. That was the shadow guard who would rather give the 1,000-year-old ginseng to Gu Jiao than to her. Crown Princess still remembered that kind of embarrassment. If this kind of disobedient guard was in the East Palace, he would have already been driven out by the Crown Prince. Crown Princess maintained basic courtesy on the surface. "I'll have to trouble you to pass on the message. I want to see the princess." Long Yi didn't move. Crown Princess choked. "I haven't seen you, and I shouldn't have done anything to make you unhappy. Is there any misunderstanding between us? Long E continued to stand still. Crown Princess had never seen Shadow Guard Long E, so she didn't know that Long E was also one. She only thought that this person was deliberately opposing her. She thought that if Princess Xingyang really woke up, then she should have heard the movement at the door. Since she didn't come out, then she shouldn't have woken up. Forget it. Why would she bother with a shadow guard? She didn't lose her status. Crown Princess turned around and left. Just when she walked out of the courtyard, she unexpectedly encountered Gu Jiao, who had rushed over from Jade Water Alley. Crown Princess was startled. "It's you? Why are you here?" "You are." She looked at Gu Jiao, and again looked back at the house behind her, then asked with uncertainty, "Here?" Gu Jiao sized her up, clearly also wanted to ask why Crown Princess had come here. Crown Princess indifferently said, "This Empress is asking you a question." Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. "Do I have to answer if you ask?" Crown Princess had hit a wall with Long E, so she had a belly full of anger. And now, being ridiculed by Gu Jiao, she couldn't help but become somewhat angry. "Miss Gu, you have the love of Empress Dowager and His Majesty, but how long will this love last? In the future, after Crown Prince ascends a throne, I will be the Empress. I have no intention to make things difficult for you, but you also shouldn't leave yourself with no way out." This familiar tone, this exact same choice of words and sentences. Where did she hear it? Ah, Ning Prince. So to say, in this world, how could there be a wall? How could there be a fire that could be wrapped in paper? When a person had an inexplicable relationship with another person, their every word and action would unconsciously reflect each other's habits. Yu Jin's appearance broke the tense stalemate in time. "Dr. Gu is here. Please come in and have a seat." She smiled and said to the Crown Princess, "Dr. Gu is the doctor this servant invited from the medical hall to treat the princess. So that's how it is." The Crown Princess withdrew her gaze from Gu Jiao's face. "Then I will come to see the princess when she wakes up." With that, the Crown Princess stepped over the threshold. The moment he brushed past Gu Jiao subconsciously asked, "Does Xiao Yulong's disappearance have anything to do with you?" Gu Jiao asked casually. Unexpectedly, the Crown Prince consort's body stiffened due to her guilty conscience. Gu Jiao perceptibly caught her abnormality and grabbed her arm to pull her back. "Speak clearly." The Crown Prince consort's back hurt from slamming into the wall. Even worse, this posture caused her to feel offended. She said coldly, "Impudent." The guilty conscience in her eyes did not escape Gu Jiao's eyes. Gu Jiao grabbed her lapel and unceremoniously pushed her against the wall. She looked at her coldly. "I don't care if you are the Crown Prince consort or the Empress. Don't force me to do it." "You dare, slap." Gu Jiao backhanded her and slapped her to the ground. Eugene sucked in a cold breath. The accompanying Eastern Palace guards charged in, but were kicked out by Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao grabbed the Crown Prince consort from the ground. "Who did it? Was it you, or did you have an accomplice?" The Crown Prince consort gritted her teeth. "I didn't do anything. Let go of me." Princess Xingyang was startled out by the huge commotion. "Stop." Princess Xingyang's long hair was loose. She should have just gotten out of bed and didn't have time to dress up. Gu Jiao would not stop. This time, it wasn't a small matter like using a cat to scare her husband. She really almost took her husband's life. She was very angry. The consequences were very serious. Gu Jiao grabbed the Crown Prince consort and pounded her to the ground. Princess Xingyang had never expected that Xiao Heng would marry such a rude and unreasonable woman. She sucked in a cold breath. "I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me? If you continue like this, I won't be polite." Gu Jiao was also angry. "Humph. Do what you want." This girl's ability to anger people to death without paying for it was the same as Long Yi's. Princess Xingyang clenched her fists and shouted, "Long Yi, pull them apart." Since Princess Xingyang gave the order, Long Yi had no choice but to come out. In order to prevent Long Yi from changing the concept again, Princess Xingyang originally intended to say Long Yi, make a move, but change it to separate them. Otherwise, she felt that Long Yi might make a move on the crown prince consort. Long Yi flashed out. The order he received was to separate them, so he had no choice but to step forward and separate them. He first went to Gu Jiao's side. When he grabbed Gu Jiao, he was like this, carefully clasping Gu Jiao's wrist. He patted the back of Gu Jiao's little hand as if he was coaxing a child. Then, he gently removed Gu Jiao's hand for fear of hurting her. When it was the crown prince consort's turn, his style suddenly changed. His entire mask was itching to say MMP. Soon after, Gu Jiao saw Long Yi directly fling the crown prince consort away as if he was swinging a pheasant. Gu Jiao, Princess Xinyang. Long Yi indeed lived up to his mission and separated them. Princess Xinyang also didn't tell him to separate them gently or roughly. Princess Xinyang was so angry that her liver hurt. Long Yi wasn't like this in the past. When he first came to Princess Xinyang, Shi Yi was a dutiful dragon shadow guard. It was all because he followed little Xiao Hong that he was led astray by the 3-year-old Xiao Hong. Princess Xinyang was on the verge of exploding. Long Yi looked at Princess Xinyang and then looked at Gu Jiao. He paused for a few seconds with a serious expression. Then, he suddenly grabbed Gu Jiao and disappeared in a flash. Every time little Xiao Hong made a mistake, Long Yi would do this. When Princess Xinyang's anger cooled down, he would bring little Xiao Hong back. This gave her experience, so she didn't want to. Princess Xinyang. She felt that she might become the first master in history to be angered to death by a dragon shadow guard. The crown prince consort was slapped in the face by Gu Jiao. Her face was swollen and she was thrown to the ground. Her arms were full of bruises and abrasions. Princess Xinyang glanced at her and sighed. "Come in. Let Yujin apply some medicine for you." With the support of Yujin, the crown prince consort re-entered the courtyard. The status of the crown prince consort was actually very high. She was second only to the Empress Dowager, the Emperor-Empress, and the crown prince. Even the legitimate princess might not be more honorable than her. However, Princess Xinyang was a princess with real power. Her husband was the famous Marquis Xianping. Who in the world didn't fear her? The crown prince consort followed behind Princess Xinyang. She thought that she would be brought into Princess Xinyang's bedroom. Unexpectedly, Princess Xinyang turned around and entered another side room. The 3 people sat down on chairs. A little maid came over to dress Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang indifferently waved her hand. "Go and bring me the golden sore medicine." "Yes." The little maid went to Princess Xinyang's bedroom and brought over a bottle of top-notch golden sore medicine. Yujin first washed her hands. Then, she took out a clean handkerchief and dipped it in the golden sore medicine. She began to apply it on the crown prince consort's swollen cheek. This kind of golden sore medicine was also bought from the pharmacists of the Yan state. It was extremely effective in relieving pain and reducing swelling. After applying it, it would cool down and immediately stop hurting. The little maid served tea and pastries. There was a crown prince consort's favorite chestnut cake. It was very strange. Xiao Hong did not like to eat this, yet it was the crown prince consort's favorite. The crown prince consort saw that Princess Xinyang had prepared her favorite pastries, and the gloominess in her heart faded a little. Princess Xinyang picked up her teacup and took a sip, asking, "Why did Dr. Gu use force against you? Is there some sort of grudge between the two of you?" Normal people would either not ask, or they would ask, "Is there some sort of misunderstanding between the two of you?" These words were actually quite clever. If they were asked if there was some sort of misunderstanding, the one who used force was Gu Jiao, and it was Gu Jiao who had misunderstood the crown prince consort. Then the blame would be placed on Gu Jiao. But if they were asked if there was any sort of grudge between the two, it would not be a question of which side was responsible. The crown prince consort was slightly startled. She lowered her eyes and quietly said, "Her husband went missing, and she misunderstood that this matter was related to me." She paused for a moment, then continued, "Auntie probably still does not know, but her husband looks very much like A Hung. He is this year's top scholar and is currently working at Imperial Hamlin Academy. His Majesty has allowed him to give lectures to the Crown Prince." The Crown Prince has complained to me many times that Lord Xiao is too strict with him. The Crown Prince has even openly contradicted Lord Xiao. I wonder if she heard about this matter and believes that the Crown Prince and I have a grudge against Lord Xiao and deliberately did something to Lord Xiao. These words were reasonable and logical. They provided a sufficient explanation for Gu Jiao's suspicions. The phrase, her husband looks like Ahung, seemed to have just been casually mentioned and was not the main point of the Crown Prince Consort's words. Princess Xinyang stopped drinking her tea. The Crown Prince Consort quickly said, "Sorry, I should not have mentioned Ahung." Princess Xinyang's mood seemed to have instantly fallen. It was clear that she was no longer in the mood to discuss this matter with her. "You can go back first. I still have some matters to take care of." The Crown Prince Consort quietly said, "Then I will come visit Auntie another day." Leaving the courtyard, the Crown Prince Consort let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, the princess did not continue to pursue the matter. Otherwise, she did not dare guarantee that she could continue to hide it. Her original intention was not for something to happen to Xiao Lulang. She also did not expect that Xiao Lulang would fall into Prince Ning's hands. Princess Xinyang had clearly returned. How could someone still hurt Xiao Hong? For years ago, she had been careless once. Princess Xinyang should not be careless a second time. Could it be that she had made a mistake and Xiao Lulang was not Xiao Hong? But she clearly heard Xiao Hong call the old chancellor teacher. In this world, there were only two people who could call the old chancellor this way. One was the old chancellor's eldest disciple, Li Su. This person had already resigned and left the capital. The other was Xiao Hong. It couldn't be that the old chancellor had accepted Xiao Lulang as his disciple. That year, the old chancellor had clearly said that Xiao Hong was his last disciple. But if Xiao Lulang was Xiao Hong, why didn't he receive the protection of Princess Xinyang? Princess Xinyang had returned to the capital for so long. Could it be that he still hadn't acknowledged her? She could understand that he did not acknowledge Marquis Xian. After all, the father and son had a somewhat distant relationship. It was inevitable that he would feel resentful. But Princess Xinyang was very close to him. He had said before that the person he cared about the most in this life was his mother. Moreover, when she mentioned Xiao Hong just now, Princess Xinyang's expression did not look like she had regained her son. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels to read for free. Novels with connotations that could not be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1101366643. HTML Genius remembered this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 431. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. The Crown Prince Consort closed her eyes. Either Xiao Lulang really wasn't Xiao Hong, or Xiao Hong hadn't recognized Princess Xinyang yet. The Crown Prince Consort's mood was incomparably complicated. Crown Prince Consort. Eugen's voice interrupted the Crown Prince Consort's thoughts. The Crown Prince Consort came back to her senses and asked politely, "Lord Eugen, what's wrong?" Eugen said earnestly, regarding Dr. Gu's matter, "I asked the Crown Prince Consort to give face to the princess and forgive him. There is no cure for the princess's heart disease." It was only after meeting Dr. Gu that she was finally relieved. Hearing this, the Crown Prince Consort frowned slightly. Wasn't the 100-flower pill effective last time? Eugen shook her head. To be honest, that wasn't the effect of the 100-flower pill. It was Dr. Gu's medicine. The Crown Prince Consort clenched her white hands. Eugen said again, Crown Prince Consort doesn't need to take it to heart. In the princess's heart, you are the person closest to her. It's precisely because she views you as family that she doesn't treat you as an outsider. Who wouldn't be happy after hearing these words? The Crown Prince Consort smiled generously and said, Don't worry, I'm not such a petty person. I won't tell His Highness, the Crown Prince and Father Emperor, about today's matter. If they ask, I'll say that I was careless and injured myself. Eugen held the Crown Prince Consort's hand. Only the Crown Prince Consort is so considerate of the princess. That's right, only she was sincere to Princess Xinyang. Regardless of whether Xiao Lulang was Xiao Hong or not, and regardless of whether Gu Jiao was Princess Xinyang's daughter-in-law or not, she was the person closest to Princess Xinyang. After long, he carried Gu Jiao out of the residence on Vermilion Bird Avenue. Gu Jiao thought that he was going to take her out for a stroll. Who would have thought that Long he would directly throw her into the princess residence? Gu Jiao had never been to the princess residence, but this didn't prevent her from recognizing the words on the plaque. Gu Jiao expressionlessly looked at Long, he who threw her into the princess residence, to worry for your future date. Did he even know how to pick a place? There were servants on duty in Princess Mansion, but the movement of Long Yi was too light, so no one noticed that someone had entered Princess Mansion. Gu Jiao sat on the chair, and looking at Long Yi, who had jumped onto the beam, she asked word by word, Can we change a place? Long Yi didn't respond. Gu Jiao, hero, are you saying that the destination and the time of the trip are not allowed to be changed? Let's discuss it again? Gu Jiao thought for a moment and said, Why don't you come down and we go to the yard to write? Or can you tell me how long we have to stay here? The princess won't be angry for long, right? From beginning to end, Long Yi ignored Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao tried to open the door, open the window, and slip out, but she was pulled back by Long Yi. In the end, Gu Jiao gave up resisting. She slid down on the chair and sprawled out like a soulless, salted fish. However, it was from this angle that she swept her gaze across and saw a pile of scroll paintings. She sat up, walked to the front of the multi-treasure pavilion, and pulled out a scroll painting from a large bottle. She untied the ribbon and opened it to take a look. It was actually a portrait of Xiao Lulang, or Xiao Hong. It was a 13-year-old Xiao Hong, dressed in white, pure like jade. She opened another portrait. It was also a 13-year-old Xiao Hong, dressed in the clothes of a young chancellor. His style was peerless, and his nobility was unparalleled. Whether it was the young duke or the young chancellor, his eyes were filled with starlight. His smile was clean and warm, like the purest piece of jade in the world. Gu Jiao caressed the smiling youth in the portrait, her fingertips tracing his face. It was hard to believe that such a smile had disappeared from his face forever. The light in his eyes was also gone. Gu Jiao rubbed her chest. There wasn't only one portrait, and there wasn't only Xiao Heng's portrait. Gu Jiao also saw Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang was truly beautiful when she was young, and she was also beautiful now. But in the past, she was a delicate flower under the sun, exuding exuberant vitality and vitality. Now, she had become a silk flower. Beautiful was beautiful, but she was no longer lively. Gu Jiao also saw a portrait of mother and son in the same frame. It was Princess Xinyang, who was in her 20s, and Xiao Hong, who was 5 years old. Princess Xinyang was hugging him, so gentle that time seemed to have calmed down. Princess Xinyang and Xiao Hong didn't have that kind of bad relationship with her parents in her previous life. They used to be the most intimate people in the world, the people who needed and relied on each other the most. Slacking off again, aren't you? This old woman didn't keep an eye on you for a while, and each and every one of you started to slack off. Later on, if the princess finds out, be careful of your skin. Suddenly, the voice of a fierce mama came from outside the room. She walked towards the direction of the sleeping chamber. She came to the door and put her hands on the door. Just when she was about to push open the door, Long Yi suddenly jumped down from the beam, grabbed Gu Jiao, and jumped out of the window with her. Caught by Long Yi, Gu little chick Jiao's face was ashen. Next time, can you let me know in advance? Because of this mama's interruption, the one-day tour of the princess mansion ended ahead of time. This was also very good. Otherwise, Gu Jiao really didn't know how long he would hold her head and hide her. But just now, everything had happened too fast. So Gu Jiao didn't have time to put back the portrait in her hand. At this moment, she was still holding the portrait of mother and son in her bosom. In the courtyard of Vermilion Bird Street, Xiao Lulang slowly woke up. He stared at the somewhat unfamiliar ceiling, and for a moment he didn't know where he was. He again looked at the furnishings inside the room, and only after a long time did he react to where he was. He blinked his eyes in disbelief. His mind began to recall the matters of yesterday. He seemed to have been taken away by Long Yi, but he didn't know where he was taken to because he had fainted. Although he had woken up in the middle of the night, he wasn't too clear-headed. Seeing Gu Jiao beside him, he again fell asleep. In the middle of the night, that hand on his forehead, "This young master, are you awake?" A little maid pushed open the door and entered. This was a servant brought back by Princess Xinyang from Fengdu Mountain. Xiao Lulang had never seen her, and she had also never seen Xiao Lulang. She didn't know the identity of Xiao Lulang, only knew that he was a person brought back by Long Yi. Why would Princess Xinyang tolerate an outsider sleeping on her bed? She didn't know, and also didn't dare to ask. Seeing the unfamiliar maid, Xiao Lulang's mind suddenly flashed with an absurd guess, and he asked, "Where is this? Where is your master?" The little maid said, "This is Vermilion Bird Street. Is young master asking where the princess went?" Xiao Lulang probed, "Princess Xinyang?" The little maid nodded her head. Yes. It seems it wasn't like he had guessed. This house didn't have a new master. Xiao Lulang asked again, "How long have I slept?" The little maid said, "Half a day and one night. You came yesterday evening, and now is the noon of the second day. Young master, are you hungry? The kitchen has stewed porridge." For the time being, Xiao Lulang didn't have any appetite, so he paused and asked, "Where is the princess?" The little maid pointed outside. The princess returned to the princess mansion. Xiao Lulang bitterly smiled. As expected, she still didn't want to see him. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110111244. HTML Genius will remember this site's address: www.zhhbqg.com. Bikaj mobile reading website zhhbqg.com. Chapter 432. The newest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels with connotations that can't be found online can be found here. On the other hand, the Crown Prince Consort planned to immediately return to the Eastern Palace after leaving Vermilion Bird Avenue. Halfway there, the carriage's wheel got stuck. Although it was autumn, the sun was strong during the day, so the carriage was extremely hot and stuffy. "Crown Prince Consort, there's a tea house over there. Let's go sit there," Chunying said. "All right." The Crown Prince Consort touched her cheek. Princess Xinyang's wound medicine was indeed miraculous. The swelling on her cheek had actually subsided. Even so, she still wore a veil. Chunying went to the counter to reserve an elegant room on the second floor. When the Crown Prince Consort walked down the corridor on the second floor with Chunying, a hand suddenly reached over and pulled the Crown Prince Consort into a certain room. The Crown Prince Consort paled and gasped, almost crying out in alarm. "It's me." That person hugged her waist and rubbed the veil on her cheek with his fingertips. The Crown Prince Consort glanced at him coldly before pushing him away and pulling out of his embrace. Ning Wang wasn't angry at being rejected. He smiled and walked to the chair to sit down. He pointed at the chair beside him and said, "Aren't you going to sit?" The Crown Prince Consort turned to look at Chunning, but the door was already closed. It went without saying who closed it. The Crown Prince Consort looked at him with an icy gaze. "You bribed Chunning?" The first time, he still needed to knock Chunning out behind a fake mountain. After that, he provided false testimony for Wen Yang's incident. She thought he was threatening Chunning. Ning Wang spread his hands. This prince didn't bribe her. She was willing to work for this prince. If you don't believe me, you can call her in and ask her face to face. The Crown Prince Consort chuckled. Where would she have the guts to speak the truth? This man was too terrifying. Even she felt fear, let alone Chunning, who was a maidservant. Ning Wang looked at her playfully. "You're not coming over. Are you waiting for this prince to carry you over?" A faint trace of mockery flashed through the Crown Prince Consort's eyes. "What? Princess Consort Ning can't satisfy you?" Ning Wang's expression changed instantly. Endless coldness flashed across his face. "Don't drag her into this between us." The Crown Prince Consort's scalp went numb. She glared at him coldly and stubbornly before turning her face away. Prince Ning loosened his grip and returned to his chair. He glanced at his side and said, "Come and sit." The Crown Princess walked over expressionlessly and sat down. Prince Ning glanced at her wrist under her wide sleeve and asked, "Are you injured?" The Crown Princess didn't say anything. Ning Wang took her wrist and carefully and lovingly held it in his palm. Seeing that she had applied medicine, he asked, "How did you get it?" The Crown Prince Consort's anger was ignited and exploded in an instant. She turned her body and looked at him with torch-like eyes. "How did this happen? Do you really want to know how? Fine, I will tell you. It was done by the daughter of Marquis Dingham Manor. That's right, it was the doctor who grew up in the countryside, who embarrassed me time and time again, and was doted on by the Empress Dowager. She suspected that I had something to do with Xiao Heng's disappearance. So he injured me. Not only was my wrist injured, my whole body was injured. If you have the ability to ask, do you have the ability to take revenge for me?" Prince Ning was silent for a while and then suddenly smiled. "What are you arguing with a child for?" The Crown Prince Consort frowned. "Child." Prince Ning smiled. "She is still young. It's inevitable that she doesn't understand things. I will help you clear your name and let her no longer suspect you." The Crown Prince Consort flew into a rage out of humiliation. "It wasn't me to begin with. It was you." Prince Ning laughed and gently kneaded her wrist. "Good, good, good. It was me. I implicated you." The Crown Prince Consort angrily pulled her hand back. "If you want to make me happy, then go kill her." Prince Ning pulled her hand again. "Are you speaking out of anger again? Princess Ning's illness needs her. The Empress Dowager also needs her." The Crown Prince Consort bit her lip. "That's right. You all need her. You all don't need me. Then, why did you come looking for me? You go back and be your Prince Ning. I will be my Crown Prince Consort. From now on, the well water will not interfere with the river water. We will not interact with each other." "Are you really that angry?" Prince Ning held her wrist with one hand and gently stroked her neck with the other. "Other than not touching her, Ben Wang will do anything you want." The Crown Prince Consort frowned. It was unknown whether she was disgusted by his touch or his words. "Wasn't your storehouse emptied? Have you never considered that she did it?" The fact that the storehouse of Prince Ning's mansion had been emptied was not publicized, but there were still a few people who knew. Prince Ning said, "It was her. I was the one who offended her first and burned down her workshop. We're even now." The Crown Prince Consort chuckled. "A mere workshop actually needs to be compensated with the entire treasury of Prince Ning's mansion. Prince Ning is really generous." Prince Ning looked at her in amusement. "So jealous. It's just a small treasury. It's nothing." "That's right. It was just a small marquis's mansion's daughter. It was nothing. Why did she care so much about it?" She was not someone who had not seen the wind and waves. She understood better than anyone that it was easy for a person to be in the limelight for a while. She was the crown prince consort and the future empress of Zhao country. She was the mother of the country and had a noble status. There was no need for her to care about a little girl. But why was it that she, who had always been rational, could no longer maintain her calm? The crown prince consort took a deep breath and said, "Now that you touched her husband, she will come to find you if you are even." Prince Ning said without worry, "She can't touch me." The crown prince consort looked at Prince Ning in confusion. "So you've been tolerating her all this time?" Prince Ning took off her veil and gently stroked her cheek with his fingertips. "Lin Lang, don't be unreasonable." The crown prince consort tilted her head and avoided his hand. She said angrily, "I'm not being unreasonable." Prince Ning's smile faded. He grabbed her chin and forced her to turn her head. The gentleness in his eyes disappeared and was replaced by coldness and viciousness. "Fine. You want to kill her. Is it because she offended you, or because she married Xiao Hong?" The crown prince consort's body froze. When the crown prince consort returned to the Eastern Palace, the crown prince anxiously greeted her. "Lin Lang, where did you go?" What happened to your face?" The crown prince consort's face had recovered long ago, but the crown prince still saw something strange. This man was probably the only one in the world who cared about her so much. Without waiting for the crown prince consort to reply, the crown prince rolled up her sleeve again and exclaimed, "Your hand." The crown prince consort said without a change in expression, "I accidentally fell." "Where did you fall?" the crown prince asked with heartache and worry. The crown prince consort smiled. "In Princess Xinyang's courtyard." "You went to visit Aunt," the crown prince muttered. "Why did you go to Aunt's place?" "Didn't I tell you to recuperate in the Eastern Palace?" "Does it hurt?" Princess Xinyang was the emperor's younger sister. Before she married, the crown prince called her aunt. Later, she married Marquis Xianping, who was also the crown prince's uncle. Thus, the crown prince changed to calling her aunt. The crown prince consort said gently, "Uncle didn't return to the capital, and Aunt is alone. I'm worried about her. I've already applied medicine. It doesn't hurt." The crown prince cupped her hand and blew on it with heartache. He said, "You are too considerate of others." "Why are you considerate of me like Shi Yi? I went out to search for Xiao Lulang for an entire night. I'm dead tired, and I don't feel good when I come back and don't see you." The crown prince consort had an ashamed expression. "It's my fault. I'll be more careful next time." In reality, the crown prince consort of the Eastern Palace was not as free as the Wang Fei outside the palace. It was because the crown prince and his majesty trusted her and gave her the right to leave the palace freely. "Is there still no news of Xiao Lulang?" she pretended to ask carelessly. The crown prince was worried about her injury and did not detect the strangeness on her face. He answered, "No. The imperial guards speculate that Xiao Lulang was brought back to the capital." That day, only the Minister of Works, Sir Zhao, and Aunt entered the city without inspection. But they both said they didn't see Xiao Lulang. "Aunt?" The crown prince consort suddenly thought of the man's clothes that Yujin had hung out to dry and the tightly shut door of Princess Xinyang's bedroom. Could it be that Xiao Lulang had been saved by Princess Xinyang? If that was the case, then it was not hard to explain why the king of Ning and the crown prince could not find any trace of Xiao Lulang even after turning the capital upside down. But why did Princess Xinyang hide it? Was she worried that the other party would come up with another plan after the first one failed? Gu Jiao must know. She had not come to treat Princess Xinyang's illness, but because Xiao Lulang was there. Thinking about it now, Yujin's words were truly laughable. One moment she said Dr. Gu, another she said she was closer to the princess, but in the end, she even hid Xiao Yulang's whereabouts from her. The crown prince consort gripped the handkerchief in her hand. The crown prince clearly felt the change in the crown prince consort's aura. He looked at her worriedly. "Lin Lang, what's wrong?" His face suddenly became very ugly. The crown prince consort closed her eyes. "Nothing, I'm tired." The crown prince hastily said, "Then I'll help you back to your room to rest." On the other side, Gu Jiao, who had been sitting on the wall for no less than 2 hours and had almost been roasted into a salted fish, was finally picked up by Long Yi. Gu Jiao opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of black smoke. She expressionlessly said, "Later, if the princess gets angry again, please let me face her anger directly." Gu Jiao seriously suspected that Long Yi was so skilled because he had taken Xiao Hong to do this when they were little. But she was even more suspicious that Xiao Hong needed to stay outside for so long, not because Princess Xinyang would be angry for so long, but purely because little Xiao Hong was mischievous and wanted to behave atrociously outside. "You were deceived, do you know?" Gu Jiao looked at him with hidden bitterness. "Your little master is a little rascal." Long Yi didn't respond. "I'm so hungry." Being roasted by the sun for so long, she was also hungry. Nearby, there happened to be a small stall selling scallion pancakes. Gu Jiao bought 2 scallion pancakes. This kind of pancake had to be eaten while it was hot, so she didn't give any to Xiao Lulang and Princess Xinyang. Altogether 10 copper coins. The vendor said. Gu Jiao took out a copper coin from her purse and handed it to him. Then she took the scallion pancake and gave one to Long Yi. Long Yi took it, but didn't eat it. Gu Jiao took a bite of the crispy scallion pancake and strangely looked at him. "Why aren't you eating?" That's right, she had never seen Long Yi eat anything. This big guy always wore a mask, seemingly never taking it off. Gu Jiao thought for a bit and said to Long Yi, "Let's go to the roof to eat, no one will see." Long Yi took Gu Jiao to the roof. This angle was extremely good. They could see the people on the street, but the people on the street couldn't see them. "Mask," Gu Jiao said to him. Long Yi didn't respond. Gu Jiao paused, then raised her hand to take off his mask. The moment she was about to touch it, she could feel that Long Yi's body slightly leaned back. This was a subconscious action to avoid. But he didn't lean back too much. Gu Jiao hesitated and asked, "I'll take it off." This time, when she touched Long Yi's mask again, Long Yi didn't dodge. Gu Jiao took off Long Yi's mask. Gu Jiao had seen the Emperor's Shadow Dragon Guards, so she thought that Long Yi was like them, belonging to the category of scary people. But when she saw Long Yi's appearance, her eyes were wide open. What happened to the unremarkable appearance? Wasn't this a bit too handsome? He had a pair of long and narrow phoenix eyes, thick eyebrows, and resolute facial features. His whole face was extremely grave and stern. But there was no tattoo on his face. Gu Jiao hummed and said, "Long Yi, where's your tattoo? Don't you Shadow Dragon Guards all have tattoos?" Of course, Long Yi didn't respond. "Then eat the pancake." Gu Jiao handed over the scallion pancake to him. Long Yi paused for 3 seconds, then took the scallion pancake and ate it expressionlessly. After a quarter of an hour, "Gu little chick Jiao, don't pinch me. Don't pinch me. I'll throw up." The two returned to Vermilion Bird Avenue and found out that Princess Xinyang had returned to the Princess Mansion. No wonder that Mama was in a hurry to clean up the house. Princess Xinyang had returned, and they just happened to miss her. Gu Jiao went to Xiao Liulang's bedroom. Xiao Lulang had already gotten out of bed. He was wearing the clothes that Long Yi had given him from the Princess Mansion. The clothes of a 14-year-old clearly didn't fit him. It looked somewhat comical. "Are the clothes dry? If they're dry, help me put them in." After he finished speaking to the maid, he turned around and saw Gu Jiao and Long Yi at the door. "No need to tidy them up, I brought clothes." Gu Jiao took out a bundle from her small basket, took out a set of clothes, and handed it to him. "Is it convenient for your hand? Do you want me to help you?" Xiao Lulang said, "No need, I can change it myself." Gu Jiao, "Oh, I really want to change it for you." Gu Jiao went to the courtyard to wait for him. Long Yi didn't go out. He looked straight at Xiao Liulang's right leg. The first time he saw Xiao Lulang in the forest, Xiao Lulang suddenly rushed over. Long Yi didn't pay attention to his movements. At this moment, Long Yi seemed to have finally discovered that his leg was lame. Long Yi knelt on one knee and went to check his leg. Long Yi. Xiao Lulang dodged backwards. Long Yi raised his head and looked at him. His eyes seemed to be somewhat confused and also somewhat confused. Suddenly, Long Yi stood up and rushed out. Not long after, he rushed in again. Gu Jiao was at the door because of the 2 gusts of wind blowing by Long Yi. She couldn't open her eyes. Long Yi held a lot of medicine for wounds. He pressed Xiao Lulang to sit on a chair, bent his strong and tall body, and knelt on one knee again, opened those bottles and jars, and applied medicine for Xiao Lulang. After applying some medicine, he made Xiao Lulang move. When he was young, Xiao Lulang was a big liar. After falling down, he would pretend that he was seriously injured, deceiving Long Yi to apply medicine for him and take him out to play. He also didn't expect that one day he wouldn't need to deceive Long Yi. He really couldn't get better. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/110108814. HTML Genius will remember this site's address: www.zhbqg.com. Bqg mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 433. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all here. Long Yi tested the medicine for Xiao Lulang like before. If one medicine didn't work, he would change to another one. In the end, Long Yi's movements became anxious and disorderly. He seemed to feel that Xiao Liulang's legs wouldn't get better. Dragon Shadow Guard won't cry. Also won't feel uncomfortable. In that instant, Gu Jiao, who was standing outside the door, felt a huge grief coming from Long Yi. Xiao Lulang finished changing his clothes and came out. Then he said to Gu Jiao, who was quietly waiting in the corridor, "I'm fine, let's go." "Go." Gu Jiao looked at Xiao Lulang in astonishment. Only after a moment did she realize that he meant to leave here. Gu Jiao didn't say that it was best to stay here. She put down the branch in her hand, stood up and looked at him. "Okay." On the way back in the carriage, Xiao Lulang didn't say a word. Long Yi didn't show up, but Xiao Lulang and Gu Jiao both knew that he was following far behind the carriage. Is it because of the princess? Gu Jiao finally opened her mouth. Xiao Lulang tried to speak as normally as possible. "She doesn't want to see me." Also, if she wanted to see her, she wouldn't have returned to the princess mansion. Gu Jiao was unable to refute. The carriage continued to wobble along for a while. Xiao Liulang's complexion was very pale. Gu Jiao couldn't tell for a moment whether it was because of the injury on his hand or because of the injury in his heart. Gu Jiao recalled those portraits she saw in the princess mansion. After hesitating for a moment, she asked, "Why?" Gu Jiao wanted to ask, "Why did you become like this?" Xiao Lulang thought that Gu Jiao was asking why she didn't want to see him. This was a scar in his heart that repeatedly tore, a memory he didn't want to touch the most. But since she asked, he would tell her, "Because I'm not her biological child. Her own son is dead. Because of me." When they returned to Jadewater Alley, the two of them had already sorted out their emotions, and there was no longer any abnormality on their faces. After they arrived safely, Long Yi used his qigong to quietly leave. After all, he was the secret guard of Princess Xinyang, and his duty was to protect her. There were only 2 classes in the Imperial College in the afternoon. Little Jing Kong had finished school early and was peeking his head out of the door. Although his small feet were obediently staying within the threshold, his small body was itching to leap out. His small arms were flying behind his back like an anxious emperor penguin. Gu Jiao was amused by him. "Jiao Jiao?" Little Jing Kong noticed Gu Jiao. He tilted his head to look at her to make sure that his eyes weren't playing tricks on him. Then he turned around and called out to Madame Yao and Senior Servant Fang, who were in the rear courtyard. "Jiao Jiao is back. Aye. I can go out now." After he said that, he stepped over the threshold with his short legs and ran towards Gu Jiao. As expected, he slipped and fell again. He hadn't fallen for a long time, but he was still very skilled at holding his head. He held his little head and rolled all the way to Gu Jiao's feet. After he finished rolling, he probably felt that his tough little image had been ruined again. He rolled his eyes, spread his arms, and called out in an especially domineering manner, "Jiao Jiao." He wasn't embarrassed, but the other person was. The other person was a bad brother-in-law. There was no one else who could be as shameless as him. Unfortunately, they were all Xiao Liulang's leftovers. Without waiting for Gu Jiao to bend down to pick him up, Xiao Lulang directly grabbed the little fellow's small lapel and lifted him up. "Ayaya, I want to carry you, Jiao Jiao." "Not you." Xiao Lulang carried the little fellow into the courtyard. He had lost his cane, but he was stronger than before, so the little fellow didn't fall down. However, the moment he entered the central room, his right leg couldn't support him anymore. Gu Jiao carried little Jing Kong over in time and supported him with her other hand to prevent him from falling and embarrassing. Xiao Lulang sensed the weakness in his right leg and clenched his fist without a trace. Gu Jiao didn't tell her family that Xiao Lulang was kidnapped by an assassin. She only said that he was on a business trip. The original plan was for him to recuperate at Princess Xinyang's place until he recovered, so there was no need to tell the family. However, since he came back early, the matter of his injury naturally couldn't be hidden. Lu Lang is back, this time on a business trip. Sure enough, Madame Yao was only halfway through her sentence when she noticed his stiff right hand. "Lu Lang, your hand," Xiao Lu Lang said as if nothing had happened. "When I was on a business trip, I accidentally fell and hit the gap in the stairs. I bled a little, but it's fine now." He even had more than 10 stitches. Gu Jiao added in her heart. It was a pity that her husband's hand was so beautiful. If it left a scar, she would chop off the murderer's hand. Xiao Liulang's wrist was wrapped in gauze. Madame Yao couldn't really remove the gauze to check his injury, so she believed that it was just a normal scratch. However, she still felt sorry for him, so she asked Senior Servant Fang to stew a pot of pig's hand soup to help him heal his hand. Xiao Lulang still needed an infusion today, so Gu Jiao hung the infusion bottle on the bookshelf behind the desk in the West Room. Xiao Lulang read while he was receiving the infusion. Not long after, little Jing Kong came over with a portrait in his hands. He was still very short, so he had to stand on his tiptoes to poke half of his head out from behind the desk. He walked around the desk and came to Xiao Liulang's side. He tilted his head and asked Xiao Lulang, "Do you have a younger brother?" Xiao Lulang didn't raise his head and continued to flip through the Yen Kingdom's arithmetic book. "Why do you ask?" Little Jing Kong looked at Xiao Hung in the portrait. "This person looks like you." Xiao Liulang's expression froze. He turned his head and saw that little Jing Kong was holding a portrait in his hand. He immediately recognized the person in the portrait. It was a 5-year-old him and a young Princess Xinyang. He slightly clenched his fingers. Where did this portrait come from? From Jiao Jiao's basket. Little Jing Kong tilted his head and said, "Your younger brother is more handsome than you. Your younger brother can smile, but you can't." Xiao Hung in the portrait smiled innocently, as if he had all the happiness in the world. The joy in his eyes almost overflowed. This was the Xiao Hung of the past. Xiao Lulang looked at himself and Princess Xinyang in the portrait, and his heart was in a trance. The motherly love and filial piety seemed to have been a long time ago. When he suddenly looked back, it felt as if a lifetime had passed. In the afternoon, Princess Xinyang's heart disease flared up, and she fainted in the princess's mansion. Yujin was worried that it would delay the treatment, so she simply sent Princess Xinyang to the medical center. Gu Jiao was carried away by Long Yi again. That feeling was too satisfying. Princess Xinyang took the anti-heart failure medicine from the Research Institute, and her condition was well under control. The reason why she fainted was not because of her heart disease, but because she had not slept all night. She was overworked and her blood sugar was low. Gu Jiao gave Princess Xinyang some glucose. When Princess Xinyang woke up, it was already evening. She opened her eyes and found herself lying in an unfamiliar room. There was a round little head beside the bed. She opened her mouth and asked in a hoarse voice, "Where is this?" Little Jing Kong, who was squatting on the ground playing with marbles, looked up and blinked his big eyes at her. "Benefactress, you woke up? You are in the medical center. This is Jiao Jiao's room. You are sleeping on Jiao Jiao's bed. How do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Jiao Jiao said that if you don't feel well, I will go and tell her. She is in the front. Digression. Last night, I received a formal notice that the explosive update was cancelled. I thought I would have to save up until February. Well, now I don't have to. It just so happens that my family has been too busy recently. I'll save up my Weibo for the new year. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that you can't find on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhpqg.com/89642_8964226/1100837764. HTML Genius will remember this site's address in 1 second. www.zhpqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhpqg.com. Chapter 434. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with inner content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Benefactress? Are you a monk? Princess Xinyang looked at him strangely. Little Jing Kong shook his little head. I used to be, but I've left the mountain now. I'm not a little monk anymore. Princess Xinyang said, "Then you can't call me benefactress." The little monk said, "Oh." Seeing this familiar expression, Princess Xinyang pondered for a while and looked at the little guy. "You're Gu Jiao's younger brother?" After investigating her, he naturally knew who her family members were. "Yes. My name is Jing Kong." Little Jing Kong nodded. "You're the bad brother-in-law's mother, right? I've seen your portrait before." He had asked Jiao Jiao who the fairy in the portrait was. Jiao Jiao said that she was the little brother's mother in the portrait. The little brother looked so much like the bad brother-in-law. They were obviously biological brothers. Since she was the little brother's mother, she was naturally the bad brother-in-law's mother. He was that smart. Princess Xinyang's attention was attracted by the words bad brother-in-law, so she neglected to ask him where he saw the portrait. "Bad brother-in-law?" she asked. "Yes." Little Jing Kong put away the marbles and sat on the small stool in front of the bed. He then said earnestly, "It's really hard on you. Raising such a troublesome son must be very tiring, right?" "Worrisome?" Princess Xinyang was confused. After a while, she realized that the bad brother-in-law he was talking about was probably Xiaohong. Xiaohong was naughty when he was a child, but he was very worrisome when he grew up. There was no child more obedient than him in the world. Little Jing Kong nodded. "Yes, the bad brother-in-law is too worrisome. I have to worry about his health and his grades." Children's logic had its limitations. Some phenomena that seemed inconceivable to adults were often ignored or accepted by children. For example, since Xiao Lulang had a seemingly rich mother, why did he live such a hard life in the countryside for so long? Little Jing Kong saw that Princess Xinyang was silent and thought that she didn't understand. He explained to her, "Look, my bad brother-in-law's leg is injured. He got it when he was saving Brother Feng Lin in the fire. Sigh, it can't be healed. He's a little cripple now. He goes to school with a limp. Many people look down on him. He is always bullied. Fortunately, he has a Jiao Jiao." Princess Xinyang became even more silent. Little Jing Kong said that he disliked his bad brother-in-law, but when he really talked about his bad brother-in-law, it was as if he was a loudspeaker. He couldn't stop talking when we were in the countryside. We had to go to school in town. There were no carriages, only ox carts in the village. The roads were slippery in winter, so the ox carts couldn't move. Bad brother-in-law could only limp to school in town. "Can't we take a carriage?" Princess Xinyang asked. Little Jing Kong sighed like a little adult. Sigh. At that time, our family was poor. Being poor wasn't terrible. Do you know what was the most terrible thing? It was that my bad brother-in-law's grades were too bad. He was always the last. He almost didn't pass the exam. Princess Xinyang's mood was originally very complicated, but the last sentence caused her emotions to become incoherent. Being the last could pass the exam? Were all the students in the class great scholars, like Zhuang Xinji? Little Jing Kong talked a lot about his life in the countryside, mainly about his bad brother-in-law. For the first time, Princess Xinyang learned about Xiao Liulong's life in the past few years from other people's mouths. She couldn't imagine that a dignified and proud son of God would fall to the point where he had to sit in an ox cart. He was exposed to the sun and rain, cold and hot. He seemed to have suddenly fallen from the clouds into a swamp. "Jing Kong, come here." Little Jing Kong was called away by little Jiangli. There was no one else in the room. Yujin was also not there. Long Yi might be in the dark. He didn't show up often. Otherwise, even when Lin Lang wouldn't have been unaware of his existence. Long Yi would appear more often in fixed places, but in the outside world, he would not be discovered by others. Princess Xinyang lifted the quilt, put on her embroidered shoes, and got out of bed. The evening wind blew gently, bringing with it a hint of the coolness of late autumn. The wind chimes under the window frame jingled. The world was noisy, but this small courtyard of the medical center had a special kind of secluded tranquility. She tightened her clothes around her chest, opened the half-closed door, and slowly walked out. Gu Jiao's courtyard was not big. It was a small courtyard. The second master had specially built it for her convenience. Even the second master himself didn't have such treatment. He only had a small room upstairs. Princess Xinyang came to the corridor and unexpectedly smelled the fragrance of sweet potatoes and corn. Only then did she realize that she hadn't eaten all day. Her stomach was rumbling with hunger. She subconsciously walked towards the small kitchen that was emitting the fragrance. She didn't need to go there herself, but for some reason, it seemed that something was attracting her. She came to the door, but before she could see the person, she heard a crisp sound of breaking branches. She was a princess of the imperial family. She had never touched the kitchen before. Naturally, she didn't know what this sound was. When she got closer, she could see the person's movements clearly. It was a youth wearing plain white clothes. He sat on a small bench behind the stove with his back to the door. His right leg was stretched out on the ground, and his left leg was bent. There was a large piece of linen cloth covering his head. Behind him was a tall pile of messy, mottled branches. He used his left hand to grab two of the branches and forcefully swung it down on his left leg, snapping the branches. He put the folded branches on his left hand. Judging from the height of pile on the left, he had broken a lot. The stove in front of him was burning brightly with firewood. As he broke the branches, he didn't forget to throw two in from time to time. Because his right wrist was injured when he broke the branches, he used his left hand to hold them, but used his right forearm to press on the right. This movement was very strenuous, and it was easy to break. If it broke, he would press on it again. He repeated this process. His clothes were thin, but the back of his neck was soaked with sweat. One of the branches was too difficult to break. He tried several times, but couldn't break it. He even accidentally touched the wound on his wrist. He sucked in a breath of cold air. Princess Xinyang unconsciously took a step forward. But then she stopped. Xiao Lulang finally broke the branch. He didn't bother to wipe the sweat off his forehead. He bent down and used his left hand to pick the tongs on the ground. He flipped the sweet potatoes on the stove. After doing this, the corn and steamed vegetables in the pot should be ready. He stood up, limped around the stove, and skillfully opened the lid of the pot. A vast expanse of white steam rushed over. He found a rag and took out the steamer basket. Then he washed his hands with water, turned around, opened the cupboard, and took out 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks. One was little Jing Kong's exclusive bowl and chopsticks, and the other, when he was halfway through, he suddenly realized something and his eyes flickered. His eyelashes trembled. He wanted to turn around, but didn't dare. With a clang, the bowl and chopsticks in his hand fell to the ground. It rolled a little far, and his legs were inconvenient. He dragged his weak right leg forward 2 steps. Just as he bent down to pick it up, a fair and slender hand reached over and picked up the bowl and chopsticks on the ground before he could. Digression. Don't keep it all updated. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964-2_89642826/1100835887. HTML Genius remembers this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 435. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Princess Xinyang didn't give him the bowl and chopsticks. Instead, she turned around and placed them on the stove. Xiao Lulang didn't think that she would suddenly wake up and lower herself to the small kitchen. Princess Xinyang also didn't think that she would come in by herself. The two of them met without any warning. It wasn't the back of her head, nor her back, nor was it the blurry sleeping face swallowed by darkness in the middle of the night. It was a clear front face in broad daylight. The immaturity of a 14-year-old had faded, replaced by the restraint of time. In fact, he was only 18 years old. There were still 3 more months before he turned 19. He should have been a young and inexperienced youth, but he was a step ahead of her. He was taller, but his cheeks seemed to have become thinner. The 14-year-old Xiaoheng was a pampered young noble, the bright moon in the sky. Now he had fallen into the dust, a beautiful jade covered in dust, turning into a lonely little stone that seemed to have been abandoned by someone on the side of the road. For a moment, Princess Xinyang didn't know where to look. Was it his face without the mole, or his powerless feet? It was like he had been cut by a knife, and a layer of skin and flesh had been peeled off. He was bloody and exposed to the eyes of those who knew or didn't know. Every step he took left a bloody footprint. Xiao Liulang's eyes were blood red. Was this punishment enough? Was this pain satisfied? Have I redeemed myself for all my filthy sins? Princess Xinyang stared at him. Suddenly, her body staggered, and she supported herself with one hand on the scalding stove. Xiao Liulang's eyes moved. His hand subconsciously reached out, but it froze in midair under her resistant gaze. Princess Xinyang's body trembled slightly. She looked at him one last time, clutched her chest, and ran out without looking back. After Gu Jiao finished seeing the patients in the clinic, she came to the small courtyard to see how Princess Xinyang was doing. However, she was told that Princess Xinyang had already left. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows weirdly. I was planning to let her stay for a few more days. This pair of mother and son really behaved in the same way. She wanted to meet him, but she couldn't. Xiao Lulang didn't need to come over, but when he heard that Princess Xinyang had fainted, he followed along. After Gu Jiao put Princess Xinyang on an 4-drip, she went to see the doctor. During this time, Xiao Lulang was the only one keeping watch. Little Jing Kong was playing in the yard. It was Xiao Lulang who asked Gu Jiao to remove the needles. After that, Xiao Lulang went to cook and called little Jing Kong to stay in the house. But she hadn't eaten a single bite of the food he had made. Gu Jiao was almost done. She packed up her things and took little Jing Kong to wash his hands. Then, she went back to Clearwater Alley with Xiao Lulang. She had thought about it. The safest place was beside Princess Xinyang, followed by Clearwater Alley. Wasn't there a saying that the most dangerous place was the safest place? Who would have thought that Xiao Lulang would stay in her house? The family of 3 had just left the back door of the clinic when Eugene returned anxiously. Princess Xinyang fainted again. Gu Jiao had just given her an 4 drip. She shouldn't be exhausted so quickly. Gu Jiao looked at little Jing Kong and then looked at Xiao Lulang. She could choose to take Eugene's carriage and let Xiao Lulang and little Jing Kong take Xiao Sanzi's carriage home. However, she hesitated and got into Xiao Sanzi's carriage. Eugene's carriage led the way. They went to Vermilion Bird Avenue. See, Princess Xinyang really moved to the Princess Mansion to hide from Xiao Lulang. As soon as Xiao Lulang left, she moved back. What did this mean? It meant that seeing Xiao Lulang made Princess Xinyang sadder than going to the Princess Mansion. Princess Xinyang really had a heart attack this time. She couldn't catch her breath and fainted. Gu Jiao gave her a tranquilizer. Her pulse stabilized for the time being. However, this situation couldn't happen too often. Otherwise, her life might be in danger. Did something happen to the princess? Her pulse was so messy when we were in the clinic. She packed up the medical supplies and asked Eugene. Eugene was surprised by Gu Jiao's strange medical methods. However, she just thought that she was ignorant and didn't suspect that they weren't from the 6 nations. She answered Gu Jiao's question. The princess felt uncomfortable in her heart. Little Jing Kong went to the courtyard to play. He looked at Xiao Lulang and said, "There are some things that the princess didn't even tell me. But I think the reason why she fainted was because of little Lord Xiao." Endless bitterness welled up in Xiao Lulang's heart, and his chest faintly hurt. He looked at the unconscious Princess Xinyang on the bed. "Do you hate me that much? Okay, I know. I will never appear in front of you again." Xiao Lulang turned around and walked out. The moonlight sprinkled down and fell on his lonely figure as if plated with a layer of frost. Gu Jiao stayed behind to observe the condition of Princess Xinyang. Little Jing Kong was looking at flowers in the courtyard. The flowers here were big and beautiful. He wanted to pick them. However, he couldn't pick the wild flowers outside. He could only look. With his little hands behind his back, he continuously drooled while looking at the flowers. Suddenly, Long Yi walked over. Long Yi didn't care about this little guy at first. In the eyes of Dragon Shadowguard, children were no different from stone blocks. Who would have thought that at this time, little Jing Kong suddenly rubbed his little hands. He really couldn't hold back anymore. Long Yi caught his little hands that were making trouble. Little Jing Kong blankly raised his head and said with a guilty conscience, "I didn't, it's not me, His eyeballs rolled around, and he looked very much like little Xiao Hung, who had done bad things many years ago. His body was full of Xiao Liulang's aura, and even his small appearance was exactly the same. Long Yi looked at little Jing Kong, and again looked at Xiao Lulang in the room, and his brain suddenly crashed. Gu Jiao determined that Princess Xinyang was really fine, and then she got up and left. Eugene wanted to pay the consultation fee, and Gu Jiao didn't refuse. Gu Jiao went out of the house, and little Sanzi's carriage was still there, so she sat in the carriage. She thought that Xiao Lulang had already taken little Jing Kong back, but unexpectedly, both of them were sitting in the carriage at this time. Only Xiao Lulang was awake, and little Jing Kong was lying in his bosom and sleeping. "He ate something," Xiao Lulang said. "He wanted to wait for you." He seemed to be explaining why he didn't go back. Gu Jiao nodded, but she didn't say anything. Little Jing Kong really wanted to wait for her, but he could have waited in the house. He stayed. Half of it was to wait for her, and the other half was to wait for Princess Xinyang to be safe. There was never much fairness in the relationship in this world. Many times, when parents hurt a child, the child would not stop loving his parents, but would only stop loving himself. Gu Jiao sat down next to Xiao Lulang. Little Sanzi waved his whip, and the wheels of the carriage started to turn on the quiet street. Their voices were loud enough to drown out the conversation between the two. "The princess is fine," Gu Jiao said to Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang lowered his eyes, and no one could see the emotions in his eyes. He nodded in a low voice, and raised his hand to pull down the coat that had slipped down, covering little Jing Kong's entire body. Little Jing Kong was sleeping soundly, and no one knew what he was dreaming of, but his saliva was dripping. In fact, the reason why Princess Xinyang fainted today was partly because of little Jing Kong's complaints. The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener took it seriously. How could Princess Xinyang know what kind of difficult life Xiao Lulang had been living for the past few years? Gu Jiao pinched Xiao Lulang's face, and when she withdrew her hand, her gaze inadvertently swept across Xiao Lulang's face. Then she looked elsewhere, but she was still paying attention to him. "Do you want to know about my background?" Xiao Lulang suddenly asked. Yes. Gu Jiao didn't deny it. She didn't know when she started to be curious about him. She wanted to know more about him, whether it was good, bad, proud, or embarrassing. She wanted to know everything about him. But if he didn't say anything, she rarely took the initiative to ask. But if he took the initiative to ask, she naturally wouldn't be polite with him. After all, there wouldn't be another opportunity like this if she missed this village. The atmosphere couldn't be so warm every time. "Even if my background is very dirty, you still want to know?" Xiao Lulang sneered. "You'll regret it. You'll regret marrying me, regret treating me so well, and even regret knowing me." Gu Jiao looked at him in confusion. Xiao Lulang sneered. "I'm not Princess Xinyang's biological son. I've already told you this, but I didn't say who gave birth to me." "Yes," Gu Jiao responded. Xiao Lulang's expression inexplicably relaxed. "Actually, there's nothing that can't be said. My mother was a prisoner of war." "No, she can't be considered a prisoner of war. She's just an accessory of a prisoner of war, a female slave from the Yan Kingdom. Princess Xinyang and that female slave became pregnant in the same month and gave birth in the same month. Princess Xinyang's son was born half a month earlier. The night I was born, the Marquis's estate was attacked by an assassin. Both me and that child were poisoned. There's only one antidote." Hearing this, Gu Jiao seemed to understand a little. She didn't interrupt Xiao Lulang and quietly waited for him to continue. Xiao Lulang smiled faintly, with a bit of helplessness and a bit of mockery. "I'm only the son of a female slave. How could the antidote be given to me? In order for me to get the antidote, the female slave stole Princess Xinyang's son and brutally killed him. Afterwards, she hanged herself." When Gu Jiao heard that there was only one antidote, she guessed what would happen next. In her heart, she wasn't too surprised. Or perhaps she was too cold-blooded. Her parents, in her previous life, were right. She was a monster. Xiao Lulang still had a calm expression, as if he wasn't talking about his own experience, but an unimportant story. Princess Xinyang didn't know. She thought that they were taken away by an assassin, and that the assassin killed them. "She lost her son, and I lost my mother. She said that perhaps we were fated to be mother and son. She decided to raise me as her own son." The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhpqg.com/89642_8964282/11008392. HTML Genius remembers this site's address in 1 second. www.zhpqg.com Biku Go mobile reading website. zhpqg.com. Chapter 436. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. When Princess Xinyang decided to raise him, he was still a baby in swaddling clothes. Naturally, he couldn't have heard her say those words herself. It was Princess Xinyang who told him later. So that's how it is. Gu Jiao said, "Then, does Marquis Xianping know?" Xiao Lulang lowered his eyes. "I know." After he took care of things, Princess Xinyang mistakenly thought that her son and the female slave were killed by assassins. It wasn't until 4 years ago that she found out the truth by chance. It turned out that she had raised the son of her enemy for 14 years. After that, Princess Xinyang collapsed. She had never forgotten that son, and had never treated Xiao Lulang as someone else's substitute. She had truly raised Xiao Lulang as her other son. She had done everything she could to teach him, and had given her all to raise him into the young Marquis of Jiaodu. It was because of this that she couldn't bear the blow of the truth. The female slave was already dead, so I could only kill your son. This was her inner demon, and also all of her evil. I was the last one to know, Xiao Lulang said calmly. His face was calm, but who knew if his heart was as calm as this? Gu Jiao paused. So the fire 4 years ago, Xiao Lulang nodded. She wanted to kill me, to take me down with her. Unfortunately, something went wrong, and the person who was burned to death wasn't me. Later, Long Yi came and saved her. He didn't say what went wrong, but Gu Jiao thought that it should have something to do with the real Xiao Lulang. He had once said to her, "If I'm not the person you think I am." She thought he was referring to Xiao Lulang, but it turned out to be Xiao Hang. He suppressed the great pain in his heart and said, "Sometimes I wonder, why wasn't the person who died that year me? Why was I the one who survived? How many lives do I have to carry on my back? A person like me, a filthy person like me." Gu Jiao gently took his hand. "Husband, you're not dirty. Also, it's not your fault." The night was cold as water. The houses on Vermilion Bird Avenue were quiet. Princess Xinyang woke up. Eugene carried a basin of hot water into the room and asked, "How do you feel, Princess?" Princess Xinyang sat at the head of the bed and asked calmly, "Did I faint again?" Eugene said with lingering fear, "That's right. Luckily, I fainted on the bed. Otherwise, it would be bad if I bumped into anything." Once, Princess Xinyang fainted at the lakeside. Coincidentally, Long Yi had gone out to handle some matters, so Eugene wasn't able to hold him back, and both of them fell into the lake. Princess Xinyang looked at the needle mark in her elbow and guessed that Gu Jiao had come by. "Did that girl give me something strange again?" Eugene smiled. "It's all thanks to Dr. Gu." Princess Xinyang muttered, "I don't know where she learned her strange skills." Eugene helped Princess Xinyang wash her face, then took the pills Gu Jiao left behind and poured a cup of warm water for her. Dr. Gu said that from today onwards, you have to take one more type of medicine. Princess Xinyang didn't object. In any case, it wasn't bitter, so she just had to take it. After taking the medicine, Princess Xinyang felt a little hungry. Eugene carried a bowl of millet porridge over and moved a small tea table to the bed. Before Dr. Gu left, she instructed the kitchen to cook millet porridge. She said that when Princess wakes up, you should eat a little. These days, your diet should be lighter. Princess Xinyang scooped a spoonful of millet porridge. "Dr. Gu, did you fall into her trap or fall into her trap?" Eugene smiled and sat down on the bed. Princess Xinyang ate a few mouthfuls of porridge and didn't want to eat anymore. She still didn't have any appetite. Eugene advised, "Eat some more." Princess Xinyang turned her face away. "I don't want to eat anymore." Eugene pushed the bowl in front of her. "Eat 5 more mouthfuls." AIU. Princess Xinyang had no choice but to endure and eat some more. After eating, she saw that Eugene wasn't leaving. She asked, "What? Is there something else?" Eugene hesitated for a moment, then finally gathered her courage and said, "Princess, do you really hate the young duke that much?" Princess Xinyang's expression dimmed. Why are you mentioning him? Eugene said, ever since you left the clinic, your mood has been off. Now that he's living such a shameful life, it's worse than death. If Princess really hates him, seeing him in this state should be very gratifying. Princess, in your heart, you also love the young Duke, don't you? You're talking nonsense again, Princess Xinyang said as she carelessly scooped another spoonful of millet porridge into her mouth. Eugene had served her for many years, so how could she not know her temperament? She still ate when she didn't want to eat. She had hit the nail on the head. Eugene said bitterly, I'm not talking nonsense. That fire was not set by the princess at all. The princess was soft-hearted at the critical moment. In fact, the princess had never been able to let go of the mother-son relationship with the young Marquis. Since that's the case, why don't Princess acknowledge the young Duke? What happened that year wasn't his fault. He's just an innocent child. What happened that year wasn't Princess's negligence. Princess, don't torture the young Duke anymore, and don't torture yourself anymore. Princess Xinyang's expression was complicated. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but stopped. Then she gently put down the spoon in her hand and said thoughtfully, someone else set the fire that year, but I still can't find out who he is. And what? Eugene looked at Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang sighed and said in a low voice, forget it, it's nothing. The group returned to Jadewater Alley. Xiao Sanzi drove the carriage back to the clinic. Gu Jiao carried the sleeping little Jing Kong over, not giving Xiao Lulang a chance to refuse. Xiao Lulang looked at his bandaged hand, then at his weak right leg. A trace of disgust flashed through his brows. He was disgusted with himself. Little Jing Kong played until his whole body was covered in mud. Gu Jiao put a cushion on the bed and put him on it. Then she went to the kitchen to get hot water. I'll do it, Xiao Lulang said. Since the little fellow went down the mountain, Gu Jiao had never done anything to bathe him. If it wasn't Xiao Lulang, then it was Gu Xiaoshun or Gu Yan. Okay. Gu Jiao used her leg to hook a stool, then put the basin and towel down. Xiao Lulang turned little Jing Kong over and over again. He wiped his body and changed his clothes, but little Jing Kong didn't wake up at all. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and leaned against the wardrobe. She lazily raised her eyebrows. What did he play today? So tired. He went to Princess Xinyang's flower with long E. Xiao Lulang didn't say anything about this. After washing little Jing Kong, Xiao Lulang went to pour water, but Gu Jiao took the basin. This was a trivial matter in life, but it wasn't a trivial matter anymore. He was indifferent at the beginning, but now he gradually couldn't ignore it. In the past, he didn't care about his life, didn't care about his disability, because he deserved to live in purgatory with his sins. But what was wrong with her? Why did she have to meet such an unbearable person? He once deceived himself, thinking that as long as he worked hard, perhaps they could really live a peaceful life. But when the truth was finally revealed, all his secrets were exposed. It was as if all the window paper was torn apart. He discovered that all his efforts were so weak. He was the son of a lowly female slave. His body flowed with lowly and dirty blood. His birth was a sin, and his survival was also a sin. He stepped on the bones of his own brother. He was not worthy to touch those beautiful things. Marquis Gu was right. He didn't deserve her. This kind of person should stay far away from her. Xiao Lulang sat in the room for a while, but before she returned to the east room to rest, he heard a sound coming from the courtyard. It was so late, and everyone was asleep. Why didn't she go to sleep? What was she doing in the courtyard? Xiao Lulang wanted to go and see, but he also felt that he shouldn't go and see. Since he had decided to let go, then what she did had nothing to do with him. She was still young, and one day she would understand that there were many good men in the world, and he was the one she shouldn't meet the most. He closed his eyes and tried hard to harden his heart, but he couldn't ignore the movement in the courtyard. Fine. Sooner or later, he would have to say goodbye, so choosing a day was better than the present. Wah-wah, little Jing Kong on the bed mumbled in his sleep and kicked the quilt over. Xiao Lulang walked over, pulled the quilt over him, and tucked him in. After that, he went out of the room and followed the sound to the backyard. The scene in front of him made him stunned. Under the cold moonlight, in the cold courtyard, she bent over and stepped on the stone bench to cut wood. She was taller than 2 years ago, but she was still a woman, so she still looked thin. Probably because she didn't want to wake up her family. Her movements seemed very light, but in fact, she used a lot of strength. This was much more strenuous than cutting wood without using her hands. In just a few moments, fine beads of sweat had already seeped out of her forehead. Xiao Lulang walked over and asked in confusion, "What are you doing? Did I wake you up?" Gu Jiao asked him. Xiao Lulang shook his head. "No, I haven't slept yet." After saying that, his gaze fell on her saw and the wood. Gu Jiao curved her lips. "You lost your cane. I'll make you a new one." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhpqg.com/89642_8964282/110083075. HTML Genius. Remember the website address in 1 second. www.zhpqg.com Biku Go Mobile Reading Website. zhpqg.com. Chapter 437. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Xiao Lulang felt as if his heart had been ruthlessly rubbed by someone. He looked at her in disbelief and confusion. Why? Why was she so good to him? He wasn't worth it. Gu Jiao continued to cut wood and said, "I've boiled the hot water. Go take a bath and sleep. I'll be done soon." She put down the saw and said, "I'll go get the water." Xiao Lulang grabbed her arm and looked at her deeply. "Jiao Jiao. Don't be so good to me. I can't bear to let go. If you regret it one day, I might do anything to keep you by my side. I'm not a good person. I'm not as harmless as you think." Gu Jiao met his complicated gaze and said frankly, "You're very good to me too." Xiao Yolang's heart was suddenly in a mess. He took a deep breath and slowly raised his hand. His fingertips gently touched her cheek. "Silly girl, you'll regret it." Gu Jiao seriously thought about this possibility. Then, she shook her head firmly. "I won't. At most, I'll divorce you." Xiao Lulang. He wasn't comforted at all. Xiao Lulang stared at her and suddenly laughed. Gu Jiao had a strange look on her face. "What are you laughing at?" He answered truthfully, "Laughing at you." He originally wanted to be sad. He was clearly infected by the sadness in the bottom of his heart. In the end, this girl interrupted him and made him feel depressed. Xiao Lulang couldn't help but pinch her little face. "Say, why are you so good at ruining the atmosphere?" Gu Jiao had no idea what she had done to ruin the atmosphere. She looked at him in confusion. Xiao Lulang was amused by her small appearance. He put one hand on the back of her neck, tilted his head slightly, and covered her. Was he going to kiss her? Gu Jiao rolled his eyes and closed them in the next second. However, after waiting for a long time, she still didn't receive a kiss from him. Instead, she heard a muffled chuckle. Gu Jiao opened her eyes and turned her head to look. She saw someone pinching a piece of sawdust on his fingertips. He straightened up and looked at her with a smile. "There's this on your head." Gu Jiao's face darkened. Oh. Xiao Lulang understood what she wanted. He also wanted to. When he thought about how his dreams were filled with her at night, he hated that he could not press her down and treat her the way he did in his dreams. But he couldn't do that. She had just learned of his background and hadn't really understood it yet. She didn't understand what it meant to be the son of a slave. He would give her time, whether she regretted it or not. But he wouldn't give her too long. For the next few days, Xiao Lulang stayed in Clearwater Alley to recuperate. Gu Jiao began to investigate the mastermind behind the scenes. On the fourth day, Yuan Tang came to the clinic. Gu Jiao thought that he came to get medicine for Lu Yisheng. The stitches on Lu Yisheng's severed finger had been removed. The intervention effect was good, but he still needed to continue to take medicine. Depending on the situation, he would start rehabilitation. 10 taels. Gu Jiao said. Yuan Tang's body trembled. Your medicine is so expensive. Why does my cousin think so highly of it? Gu Jiao said indifferently, You're the one buying it, not your cousin. Yuan Tang asked, What do you mean? Gu Jiao said, Different people have different prices. Yuan Tang said, You're a profiteer. Yuan Tang resigned himself to his fate and took out 10 taels. Gu Jiao took the money. Seeing that he didn't leave, she looked at him strangely. What? Is there something else? If you want to sell me information, I advise you to give up. The corner of Yuan Tang's lips, which had just been raised, collapsed in a second. Are you a bug in this prince's stomach? How come you know everything I do? Feishing's leftover. Gu Jiao sat back on the chair and buried herself in today's medical records. Forget it. He was just teasing her. He wanted to get back the 10 taels of silver. It wasn't that he wouldn't talk about it if he didn't get the money. Yuan Tang opened his folding fan and said slowly, I heard that your husband went missing. Do you know who did it? Who? Gu Jiao asked. Yuan Tang curled his lips into a smile. Prince Ning. Gu Jiao wasn't surprised to hear this answer. She put the medical records back on the shelf and looked up at Yuan Tang. Are you sure? Yuan Tang clicked his tongue and raised 3 fingers. I swear to the heavens, as the future crown prince of Chun, that I didn't make a mistake. I definitely didn't fake it. However, he put down his hand and patted his palm with his folding fan. Isn't Prince Ning on Empress Dowager Zhuang's side? Why did he kidnap your husband? Is he taking revenge on you for killing so many of his experts? Although those experts came for me, you helped me, so he holds a grudge in his heart? Prince Ning didn't hold a grudge because of this incident, but because she went to find Princess Ning afterwards. Even so, he only burned down one of her workshops. After that, she emptied his treasury. To be honest, Gu Jiao didn't think that Prince Ning would touch Xiao Lulang for a treasury. Gu Jiao thought of the crown princess' guilty expression. She had something to do with it. Could it be she already guessed Xiao Liulang's true identity and told Prince Ning about it? Prince Ning wouldn't touch Xiao Lulang, but that didn't mean that he wouldn't touch Xiao Hang. The crown princess had once been Xiao Hang's fiancée, and the two had grown up as childhood sweethearts. If Ning Wang misunderstood that the crown princess still had Xiao Hang in her heart, he would most likely kill Xiao Hang given how perverted he was. Wait, kill Xiao Hang? Something flashed through Gu Jiao's mind, but it was too fast for her to catch. Dr. Gu, what are you thinking about? Yuan Tang interrupted Gu Jiao's train of thought. I'm thinking. Aya. It's burning. It's burning. A young medicine boy's exclamation came from the lobby. Gu Jiao stood up. Yuan Tang was closer to the door, so she immediately opened the door and walked out. One of the medicine boys had accidentally dropped a match into the medicinal wine, and the entire wine jar had caught fire. Seeing this, Yuan Tang hurriedly walked over, picked up the burning wine jar, and carried it to the empty space in the rear courtyard. Seeing this scene, a thought flashed through Gu Jiao's mind. She had finally caught what she had failed to catch earlier. Yes, fire. The fire from 4 years ago. Could it be that Princess Xinyang wasn't the one who set the fire? Prince Ning was the one who did it? But for some reason, Xiao Lulang misunderstood? If he really did it, then this feud was huge. He didn't capture Xiao Lulang just to show off his power. He truly wanted to take Xiao Liulang's life. She had originally planned to slowly harvest this golden leek, but he actually dared to touch her husband. Gu Jiao didn't have any evidence for the incident from 4 years ago, but it didn't matter. even if she didn't count the old debt from 4 years ago. Just this one incident alone was unforgivable. In the afternoon, Gu Jiao made a trip to the imperial palace. Prince Ning was a prince who was highly regarded by the emperor. He was currently working at the Ministry of Appointments and would occasionally be summoned by the emperor to the imperial study or Pure Flowers Palace. Recently, because he was searching for Xiao Lulang, the emperor summoned him and the crown prince almost every day to ask about the progress of the matter. Although Gu Jiao wasn't in the imperial palace, she had close relations with Rinshou Palace, so she had heard some things from eunuch Qin. Gu Jiao arrived at the imperial palace and asked the guard on duty, "Has His Highness Prince Ning entered the palace?" The guard recognized her and knew that she was a favorite of Empress Dowager Zhuang and His Majesty, so he was happy to do her a favor. Moreover, it wasn't a secret. He entered the palace. Gu Jiao asked again, "Did he go to the imperial study or Pure Flowers Palace?" The guard said, "He went in the direction of Pure Flowers Palace." "Many thanks." Gu Jiao thanked him, then turned around and went to Pure Flowers Palace. Gu Jiao couldn't enter Pure Flowers Palace as easily as she could at Renshou Palace. She still needed to announce her arrival. However, Eunuch Wei quickly walked over and invited Gu Jiao in. Eunuch Wei said, "Why has Miss Gu come? Are you here to ask about Lord Xiao?" Gu Jiao had only told her grandaunt that Xiao Lulang had already been found. She hadn't told the emperor, so Eunuch Wei also didn't know. Gu Jiao made a sound of acknowledgement. "That's right, I'm here to ask about the news." Eunuch Wei said, "It just so happens that His Highness Prince Ning is also here. You can ask him if he found any clues." It was impossible for him to find any clues. He was already at home. Gu Jiao symbolically went to see the emperor and Prince Ning to ask about the progress of the case. As expected, there wasn't any progress. The emperor was very anxious. There hasn't been any news for so long. He couldn't have. Gu Jiao stared at Prince Ning's expression. His face was filled with worry, but there wasn't a hint of schadenfreude. That was true. If he hadn't hidden himself deeply, he wouldn't have been able to fool around with the crown prince consort for so long without anyone discovering him. The emperor painfully closed his eyes. "Send more men. No matter what, I want to see him if he's alive, or his corpse if he's dead." Prince Ning cupped his hands in salute. "Yes. This subject obeys." The emperor sighed. "We will also send a few more men to you. You'll have to work a little harder these next few days. We hope to find Xiao Lulang as soon as possible. This subject will go and find him right now." Prince Ning bowed and left the imperial study. Gu Jiao thought for a moment, then said, "Your Highness Prince Ning, you don't mind if I leave the palace with you, right?" Prince Ning froze, then nodded. "Of course I don't mind. Dr. Gu, please." "Your Majesty, I'm leaving." Gu Jiao bade farewell to the emperor. The emperor was currently worried about Xiao Liulang's safety, so he didn't keep Gu Jiao for a meal at Pure Flowers Palace. Gu Jiao and Prince Ning left the imperial palace. On the way, the two chatted for a while, and it didn't seem like they had any disagreements. Before boarding the carriage, Prince Ning smiled and said, "Dr. Gu, if you and I can always be harmonious like this prince can pretend that nothing happened in the past." Gu Jiao didn't respond to his words. Instead, she asked, "I didn't come in a carriage today. Can you give me a ride?" "Of course." Prince Ning generously gestured for Gu Jiao to board the carriage. Gu Jiao boarded the carriage, and Prince Ning also got in. He maintained a polite distance from Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said seriously, "I have some things I want to say to Prince Ning in private." Prince Ning gave her a deep look, then smiled knowingly. He ordered, "All of you stop first. You're not allowed to follow." The imperial guard stopped. The carriage continued on for a while. Prince Ning said, "Can you speak now?" "Speak your grandpa." Gu Jiao stood up with a whoosh and put Prince Ning in a gunny sack. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896/110082909. HTML Genius remembers this website's URL in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 438. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels that can't be found online will all be available here. Was Ning Wang's martial arts high? Of course it was very high, but Ning Wang was caught off guard. He never thought that Gu Jiao would make this move. Ning Wang's assassination training was to defend against knives, swords, and hidden weapons. Who would defend against a gunny sack? Even a normal person wouldn't do something like putting a gunny sack on a prince. When they were eavesdropping on the fake mountain, Gu Jiao already knew that Ning Wang's martial arts were unfathomable. She had never fought with Ning Wang before, so it was hard to say whose martial arts were better. She was confident, but not conceited. Then again, this wasn't a competition of sportsmanship, so there was no need to talk about martial arts. Just do it. The moment Gu Jiao put the person in the gunny sack, she quickly took out the anesthetic needle hidden in her sleeve and stabbed it into his body through the gunny sack. This anesthetic was specially developed by the Research Institute for Emergency Operations. It worked very quickly and didn't need an intravenous drip, just an intramuscular injection. It could make a person instantly lose consciousness, but the weakness was that it didn't work very well. But it was enough for Gu Jiao to drag the person away. Turn left. His Highness said to wait for someone in the alley over there. Gu Jiao ordered the driver. The driver didn't know that his master had been put in a gunny sack and thought that it was his master's idea. He obediently drove the carriage into the alley on the side. The moment the carriage stopped, Gu Jiao knocked out the driver with a chop. Then she pulled the gunny sack out of the carriage. The anesthetic gradually wore off, and Ning Wang began to regain his consciousness. However, if he wanted to make a move against Gu Jiao, it wouldn't be that easy. Gu Jiao didn't wait for him to react. She picked up the gunny sack and threw it on the ground, making a loud sound. Ning Wang's vision turned black. He felt the earth shake, the sky collapse, and his butt hurt. Ning Wang tried to make a move, but before he could circulate his qi to his dantian, the gunny sack was lifted up high and then thrown down again. Gu Jiao grabbed the gunny sack and smashed it on the ground with a duong 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 sound. Ning Wang's brain was almost smashed to pieces. What was an unexpected calamity? This was it. The pain of being injured during a fight was not scary. What was scary was being used as a punching bag. This was a F***king blow to his pride. This was different from Crown Princess Feng's case. After all, the two incidents were different in nature. The former was a scare, while the latter was a murder. Gu Jiao beat him to death. Prince Ning was skilled in martial arts, so he could take a beating. Gu Jiao beat him even more happily. Just as Gu Jiao was in the midst of beating him up, a shadow suddenly descended from the sky. Gu Jiao focused her eyes and saw that it was actually the Emperor's Dragon Shadow Guard. The Dragon Shadow Guard looked at the sack on the ground, then looked at Gu Jiao in front of him. After pausing for a moment, he made a decision and attacked Gu Jiao. Hiss. Gu Jiao had a toothache. There was no need to ask to know that the Dragon Shadow Guard was assigned to Ning Wang by the Emperor. Gu Jiao had fought with the Dragon Shadow Guard before, but after the Dragon Shadow Guard was summoned back by the Emperor, he no longer had any hostility towards Gu Jiao. He had hesitated for a moment, just now. He was probably sorting out his tasks. Gu Jiao was not an enemy, but the Emperor had ordered the Dragon Shadow Guard to protect Ning Wang. Naturally, the order still prevailed, and the Dragon Shadow Guard launched an attack on Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao immediately admitted defeat. She threw the gunny sack to him and ran away. After that, Gu Jiao thought about it and felt that she had not performed well enough. She should have thrown a few punches before throwing it. She should have thrown it more aggressively and not be so cowardly. This time, Gu Jiao had put Ning Wang in a gunny sack in front of him. It was not that she was impulsive, but since he had already set his sights on her husband, there was no need for the two of them to continue pretending to be peaceful. Another reason was that Ning Wang was very popular in the capital. How many people wanted to secretly harm him and had the ability to do so? If she did not show her face, the first person to be suspected would be Yuan Tang. She was a good person. She would not implicate her new leak. No new friend for no reason. Gu Jiao was thinking about this when she suddenly realized that she had run to Vermilion Bird Avenue. And, to be honest, she could not be blamed. Vermilion Bird Avenue was one of the streets closest to the Imperial Palace. She could reach Vermilion Bird Avenue after walking a few more steps from that small alley. However, she was very confused that she had come to Princess Xinyang's residence. Gu Jiao raised her head to look at the half-closed courtyard door. Between going back the way she had come and being caught and beaten by the Emperor's Dragon Shadow Guard, or going inside to lie low and have afternoon tea, she chose the latter. She stood on the doorstep and inadvertently tightened the heel of her right leg. As a result, her calf-cramped Princess Xinyang was about to go out. Eugene had just opened the courtyard door when she saw Gu Jiao bending over with a cramp on her small face. Eugene was stunned. Dr. Gu. Gu Jiao stood up as if nothing had happened. The next second, the cramp became even worse. She lost control of her expression. A cramp in her calf was definitely the kind that could not be tolerated. Princess Xinyang glanced at her indifferently. What's wrong? Did you fight with someone? Is your leg crippled? Gu Jiao. No. Oh. Princess Xinyang said carelessly. Then you were beaten up and your leg is crippled? Gu Jiao. These words were not very harmful, but they were extremely insulting. Princess Xinyang raised her eyebrows. You couldn't have run away without fighting, and even crippled your leg. Gu Jiao. She obviously fought. Heh. Princess Xinyang turned around and returned to her room. Eugene turned to look at Princess Xinyang in a daze. Did this mean she wasn't going out? Eugene smiled and said to Gu Jiao, Dr. Gu, please follow me into the room. Gu Jiao's right calf was cramping so badly that it was about to collapse. She could only limp step by step into the room. It could be said that she was very pitiful. Princess Xinyang liked to sit by the window. It had good lighting and ventilation, and she could smell the fragrance of the courtyard. Eugene led Gu Jiao to a chair opposite Princess Xinyang. She squatted down and pinched Gu Jiao's right calf. Does it hurt here? Let me take a look. No need, it's just a cramp, not an injury. I'll be fine in a while. Gu Jiao seriously suspected that she had grown too quickly and was lacking calcium. In her previous life, she had never cramped like this. After all, she had worked in the organization. Every agent had a professional nutritionist, so there was no shortage of trace elements. Let me give you a massage. It won't hurt as much, Eugene said gently. Thank you very much, Lady Eugene. She remembered that was how the crown princess addressed her. If you don't mind, you can call me Aunt Eugene, Eugene said with a smile. Eugene moved a small stool over and placed Gu Jiao's leg on her lap. She began to gently massage Gu Jiao. She was someone who had taken care of the seriously ill Princess Xinyang. Her technique was quite good. Gu Jiao almost fell asleep from her massage. Eugene said gently, Dr. Gu is only 15 this year, right? You're really young and promising. It would be difficult to find a doctor with better medical skills than you in the capital. Gu Jiao nodded seriously. I think so too. Princess Xinyang, who had decided to practice her calligraphy out of boredom. This girl, could she be a little more shameless? Princess Xinyang calmed herself down for a while before continuing to practice her calligraphy. Gu Jiao glanced at her. My husband always makes me practice calligraphy. It's obvious that he learned it from you. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_89642826/11008287. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 439. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Princess Xinyang's brush suddenly stopped. As Yujin massaged Gu Jiao's calf, she glanced at Princess Xinyang without batting an eyelid. In fact, Eugene couldn't tell what Princess Xinyang's attitude towards the young duke was. If she said she cared, she would ruthlessly deny him. If she said she didn't care, she would be so sad that she fainted. Not to mention fainting from anger. Eugene didn't believe it and wouldn't accept it. She probably still couldn't get over that hurdle in her heart. She was afraid that if she treated the young duke too well, she would let down that dead child. Gu Jiao was being massaged too comfortably and became drowsy. Her little head began to peck at rice like a little chick. Eugene waved at a servant girl, indicating for her to bring a cushion over. The servant girl did as she was told. Eugene gave a look, and the servant girl placed the cushion behind Gu Jiao's back, supporting Gu Jiao as she gently leaned against it. Princess Xinyang was immersed in practicing her calligraphy and didn't know that Gu Jiao was about to fall asleep. Her gaze paused and she suddenly asked, "Then who did you learn to fight from?" Gu Jiao woke up with a start, but didn't forget to deny it. "I didn't fight." Princess Xinyang didn't even lift her eyelids. "Who did you fight with?" "Gu Jiao, Prince Ning." "Eugene, you even fought with a prince. You've got guts." Princess Xinyang wrote another big Qiu character. "Why?" Gu Jiao bluntly said, "I don't like him." Princess Xinyang, it's rare to find someone who doesn't like Prince Ning. Princess Xinyang's expression was calm as she continued to practice her calligraphy. Gu Jiao turned her head to look at Princess Xinyang. "Then what about Princess? Does Princess like Prince Ning?" In Princess's eyes, what kind of person is Prince Ning? Princess Xinyang said lightly, "I don't have much contact with King Ning. If Princess Ning were here, she might be able to answer you." Yes, Princess Xinyang was married to Marquis Xianping, who was on the same side as Empress Xiao and the Crown Prince. He was in a different camp from Prince Ning and the Zhuang family. Noble consort Zhuang was very stingy, so she wouldn't allow Prince Ning to have too much contact with Princess Xinyang. However, when Prince Ning was mentioned, Princess Xinyang's expression didn't change at all. Did this mean that she never suspected that Xiao Heng's death had anything to do with Prince Ning? To be honest, there were only 2 people who had the motive to burn Xiao Heng to death 4 years ago. One was Prince Ning, and the other was Princess Xinyang. The less suspicious Prince Ning was, the more suspicious Princess Xinyang would be. Princess Xinyang did not suspect Prince Ning at all. Was it because she was the murderer, or because Prince Ning's disguise had successfully deceived everyone? Gu Jiao eventually fell asleep. At this moment, the sun was very bright and shone through the window lattice. The entire table was warm, and Gu Jiao even sweated a little. Eugene stood up gently and put Gu Jiao's feet on a stool. She also put a cushion under them, so that they would be stable and wouldn't hurt. "Princess, do you still want to go out?" Eugene asked softly. Princess Xinyang practiced her calligraphy and said lightly, "Maybe another day. I don't want to go out today." Eugene made a sound of agreement and turned to walk around the greenhouse. She cut a few fresh flowers and put them in. The room was very quiet. The only sounds were the rustling of the brush on the table, the low sound of pruning, and someone's even breathing. It was very quiet all around, but it didn't feel as lonely as it usually did. "Blanket," Princess Xingyang said. She didn't raise her eyes. She was steady and engrossed in her calligraphy practice. "Okay." Eugene put down the scissors and flowers and wiped her hands with a handkerchief. She opened the wardrobe and took out a thin cashmere blanket. She walked over and was about to drape it over Princess Xingyang when she heard Princess Xingyang say expressionlessly, "Give it to her." Although she didn't specify which one, there were only 3 people in the room. Eugene should have said, "Give it to you." Eugene walked around the desk and came to Gu Jiao's side. She gently draped the thin blanket over her. Eugene squeezed Gu Jiao's palm. Sure enough, she had been sweating just now, but now she was cold. The sun was about to set and couldn't shine on her body. In addition, there was a thin autumn wind outside the window that happened to blow on her face. Eugene's position didn't allow the wind to blow. This was why Eugene didn't notice that Gu Jiao's body was cold. Eugene's smiling gaze fell on Princess Xingyang's beautiful face, which didn't seem to have been eroded by time. "Princess." "What is it?" Princess Xingyang said calmly. Eugene pursed her lips and smiled. "You also like Dr. Gu, don't you?" She used the word also. She didn't know who else liked Gu Jiao. Was it Xiao Lulang or herself? Princess Xingyang said, "I said, her life is very valuable. If something happens to her, who will treat this princess's illness?" When Gu Jiao woke up, the sky was already dark. There was only the statue-like Long Yi beside her. Gu Jiao acted as if she was facing a great enemy. She almost reflexively sat up and said seriously, "I won't stop writing." Long Yi, who had been holding a box of charcoal for the whole afternoon. Eugene asked Gu Jiao to stay for dinner. Gu Jiao looked at Princess Xingyang, who was watering flowers in the courtyard. She raised her eyebrows and said, "It wasn't the princess who asked me to eat. I won't eat. I'm leaving." Hiss. Princess Xingyang watered the flowers and almost drowned them. Eugene couldn't help but snicker. Gu Jiao was just joking. How could she not know that without Princess Xingyang's tacit consent, Eugene wouldn't have the guts to ask her to stay for dinner? She really had something to do, and had to go back quickly. Eugene said with a smile, "I'll prepare a carriage for Dr. Gu." Gu Jiao intended to refuse. She could go back by herself. Eugene said again, "Or let Long Yi send you." Gu Jiao's face became serious for a second. "Carriage, thank you." Eugene ordered the servants to prepare a carriage and said to Princess Xingyang, "I'll send Miss Gu off." Princess Xingyang didn't say anything. She took the kettle and changed to a potted plant to water the flowers. Gu Jiao actually didn't need Eugene to send her off, but she felt that Eugene especially wanted to send her off today. The two left the courtyard. Eugene said to the coachman, "This wooden stool is unstable. Go get a new one." She sent the coachman away. At the door, there were only 2 people, and Long Yi sitting on the wall with a box of charcoal in his hands. Eugene pulled Gu Jiao's hand and said in a low voice, "Miss Gu, you're one of us. I won't beat around the bush. I'll make a long story short. I hope you can understand." Sure enough, there was something. Gu Jiao nodded. "Go ahead." Eugene said seriously, "The matter of the young marquis. I don't know how much you've heard, but no matter what you've heard, please believe the princess. She really did hate the young marquis, but she hated herself even more. She hated those assassins who poisoned her son, as well as those who killed her son with their own hands. She probably realized that the identity of the person behind her was too sensitive, or she wasn't sure if Gu Jiao had already understood this step." Eugene paused and changed her words, "Murderer." The princess took the initiative to kill, but in the end, her heart softened. She couldn't do it. She didn't start the fire. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896/11008262/11008262. HTML Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 440. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao nodded at Eugene. Thank you for telling me this. The information you told me is very important to me. The wooden stool is here. The driver jogged over with a wooden stool. Eugene patted the back of Gu Jiao's hand. The driver placed the wooden stool beside Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao stepped on the wooden stool and got into the carriage. On the way back, Gu Jiao carefully considered Eugene's words. If Eugene was telling the truth, then the only possibility left was Prince Ning, who set Xiao Hong on fire at the Imperial College. If Eugene was lying and the arsonist was Princess Xinyang, then Prince Ning would definitely hurt Xiao Lulang this time. There was no way he could clear his name. No matter who the murderer was 4 years ago, the one who still wanted to kill Xiao Lulang was Prince Ning. Gu Jiao took out a small notebook. Her lips twitched, and she wrote a name on it, Qin Chuan. Prince Ning's mansion. The moon was dark and the wind was strong. Prince Ning was lying on his bed. His entire body was wrapped in cotton, and he was half dead. He had been drugged by Gu Jiao and beaten to death. When the Dragon Shadow Guards finally came, he thought he was finally saved. Who knew that the nightmare had just begun? The Dragon Shadow Guards were temporarily sent by His Majesty to find Xiao Lulang. The Dragon Shadow Guards' first mission was to find him, and their second mission was to protect him. Gu Jiao beat him very hard, but he could also take the beating. Thus, although it hurt, he didn't suffer any internal injuries. The Dragon Shadow Guards determined that he didn't suffer any fractures and could continue to find him. They grabbed him and got into the carriage. The driver was gone, so the Dragon Shadow Guards personally became his driver. Other than not suffering from internal injuries, Ning Wang's entire body was in pain. The Dragon Shadow Guard's driving skills were obviously not good. Ning Wang's intestines were about to break. His head hit the wall of the carriage 7 or 8 times, and his butt rubbed against the floor 17 or 18 times. Actually, he could turn over, but he didn't want to grind an iron rod into a needle. Therefore, he could only sacrifice his butt. Finally, his arm was dislocated, and the Dragon Shadow Guard determined that his injury was in urgent need of treatment. Then, the Dragon Shadow Guards carried him back to the palace. Only God knew how long his dislocated arm had been swinging in the air. It was so swinging that he didn't even feel that it was his arm anymore. This was simply a nightmare. Your Highness, it's time to drink your medicine. Chi Fei helped Ning Wang up. Prince Ning's entire body felt as if it had been crushed by a huge rock. Not a single part of his body belonged to him. Just the movement of sitting up and leaning against the bed had made Prince Ning break out in a cold sweat. He took the bowl with his other hand, which was not dislocated. Even though it wasn't dislocated, it wasn't very stable after being trampled by Gu Jiao. In the end, Chi Fei couldn't stand it and personally helped his master drink the medicine. Prince Ning leaned against the cushion behind him and recalled what happened today. He still felt that it was inconceivable. How dare she? That's right. How could a commoner's daughter dare to go against a country's prince? Even if she hugged the 2 thick thighs of the Empress Dowager and the Emperor in terms of closeness, he was their blood relative. Other than Princess Ningen, he was the only person who could receive the favor of both the Empress Dowager and the Emperor. So where did that girl borrow her courage from? She didn't think that just because she helped the Empress Dowager and the Emperor a little, she would be able to enjoy endless favor for the rest of her life, right? She was overestimating herself. Accompanying the Emperor was like accompanying a tiger. She still didn't understand this principle. Qi Fei asked in confusion, "Master, this subordinate can't figure out why Dr. Gu would do this. You burned down her workshop, but didn't she also empty your treasury? She was the one who took advantage of you. Why would she bother to not let you go?" Prince Ning snorted coldly. What other reason could there be for her to not care about her life? Qi Fei wasn't stupid and immediately understood. Could it be? She knows that you dealt with Xiao Lulang? Prince Ning coldly said, although this prince doesn't have any evidence. After thinking about it, this is the only reason left. I just don't know how much she knows about Xiao Liulang's identity. Does she know that he used to be the young Marquis of Zhaodu? If she knows, has she guessed that the fire 4 years ago was caused by this prince through this incident? Qi Fei was stunned. As expected of His Highness, he had considered everything. He didn't think that much. Prince Ning thoughtfully said, but this prince still has a doubt. Did she find Xiao Yulang's whereabouts? Gu Jiao's actions could be said to have completely disrupted Prince Ning's thoughts. He had never seen someone who didn't play by the rules like this. He was the smartest of all the princes. He was familiar with the art of war and had a deep understanding of people's hearts. Often, a person only needed to take one step, and he could calculate their next 10 steps. But Gu Jiao, this kind of troublemaker, it was too difficult for him to use his power. Qi Fei said, "Master, how about you directly tell the Empress Dowager? The Empress Dowager is your grandmother and also your great-aunt. She definitely won't be partial to that girl." Prince Ning lightly said, "If I tell the Empress Dowager, then I'll be playing right into her hands." Qi Fei didn't understand. How could that be? Prince Ning was a patient master. He didn't have the bad habit of being spoiled like the crown prince. He wouldn't think that the servants couldn't keep up with his thoughts and scold them for being stupid. It was right that they couldn't keep up. Otherwise, if they were as smart as him, how could he still be an outstanding prince? He said, "This prince said that she sneak-attacked this prince. Do you have evidence? This prince can't even beat a girl. Does anyone believe it?" Qi Fei's eyes widened. "She gave you a drug." Prince Ning lightly glanced at him. "You can find a drug that can knock this prince out in one go." The knockout drug still needed half a cup of tea's time to take effect. He didn't know what kind of hidden weapon was inserted into his body, but it actually knocked him out in an instant. People who didn't see it with their own eyes wouldn't believe it at all. Actually, there was a witness, Shadow Guard Long, but it was better not to have it. Prince Ning continued, "Also, this prince can say that she sneak-attacked, but she can't say that this prince captured Xiao Lulang." Qi Fei stammered, "She doesn't have evidence. Moreover, Xiao Yulang's whereabouts are unknown. She's not afraid that the Empress Dowager will send people to search for him." Prince Ning coldly snorted. "You also said that you don't have evidence. If the Empress Dowager doesn't believe her, will she believe me?" There was no evidence. Either they believed it or they didn't believe it. What were the consequences of believing it? It was him, a prince of a country, who actually captured an imperial court official, and the other party's wife came to beat him up for revenge. Who was at fault? What were the consequences of not believing it? Both of them were talking nonsense. She was a girl, so it wasn't a big deal for her to lie. But he was the dignified eldest prince. Inverting right and wrong to slander a girl was too shameful. So no matter which one it was, he was bound to lose. Rather than worrying that he would complain about that girl, it was better to worry about whether or not that girl would complain about him. Will she complain about Master? After listening to his master's analysis, Qi Fei began to worry. Prince Ning seriously thought about it. She probably won't. Qi Fei, why not? Prince Ning, she doesn't like it. Would someone who could use their hands and not their mouth complain about it? The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896/110082652. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 441. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. While they were talking, there was a faint breathing sound outside the door. Who is it? Chi Fei's eyes turned cold, and he suddenly shot out a hidden weapon. Stop! Prince Ning shouted. That was almost his subconscious reaction. Chi Fei saw that his master asked him to stop, but the hidden weapon had already been shot out. He had to use more strength to shoot another dart to hit the first one away. The two darts broke out of the window, creating sparks in the air with a clang, and then fell beside a pair of elegant, embroidered shoes. Chi Fei rushed out of the door. When he saw who it was, he was stunned. Princess. Princess Ning almost died under this dart, and her face turned pale. Chi Fei hurriedly bowed. Princess, please forgive me. I didn't expect that you would. What would happen? Would she come at this time, or would she secretly stand outside and listen to Prince Ning's conversation? Princess Ning clenched the handkerchief in her hand, and her eyes flashed. Her lips trembled a few times, and she didn't know whether it was anger or fear or both. The next moment, she turned around and walked out without looking back. Sushing. It was Prince Ning who chased after her, regardless of the tearing pain all over his body. Prince Ning grabbed Princess Ning's arm. Chi Fei saw this and tactfully retreated. But with his hearing, he could actually hear it. But the important thing was that he wouldn't make Princess Ning feel embarrassed if he wasn't there. King Ning had run for a short distance, but many wounds on his body were bleeding. His lips were getting paler and paler, and the cold sweat on his forehead was oozing out again. Sushing. He endured the pain and said in a hoarse voice, "Don't go. Listen to my explanation." Princess Ning clenched the handkerchief and looked at him with a complicated expression, and tears flashed in her eyes. "Listen to what your highness explains? Explain why you took Dr. Gu's husband. Or explain why your highness burned Xiao Hung to death 4 years ago." Prince Ning said, "Xiao Hung didn't die." Princess Ning said loudly, "That's because he's lucky. It's not that your highness didn't harm him." Sushing. "I have my reasons." Prince Ning grabbed her arm tightly, and his eyes were slightly red. "My mother was the 6th princess consort at that time. She was the wife that Imperial Grandfather appointed for Imperial Father. After Imperial Father ascended the throne, he only gave my mother the title of Imperial Consort. I was also reduced from a legitimate son to a concubine son. Originally, the Eastern Palace was mine. The position of Crown Prince was mine. Everything was mine. I can't accept this." Sushing. "I can't accept this." Princess Ning retorted. "So you killed the innocent." Prince Ning explained, "Xiao Hung is not innocent. He is not the son of Princess Xinyang at all. He is the flesh and blood of a female slave. It was because Princess Xinyang experienced the pain of losing her son that she placed her love on him. That child didn't need to die. The one who should die is him. He stole everything from that child. His death is not worth regretting." Princess Ning looked at him in disbelief, as if she was greatly frightened. Her body swayed, and she took a few steps back. Prince Ning's face turned pale when he realized what nonsense he had said in his anger. He wasn't like this usually. It was because he was confused by the little female doctor called Gu Jiao today. He walked forward guiltily. Don't come over. Don't touch me. Princess Ning retreated again and raised her hand to stop him from coming closer. Okay, I won't come over, Prince Ning hurriedly replied. He looked behind her. There are steps behind you. Don't fall. As he spoke, he took a few steps back and motioned for Princess Ning to come closer. But Princess Ning didn't take a single step forward. Prince Ning saw the fear in her eyes and the disappointment that was gradually becoming difficult to hide. He couldn't help but walk forward. Don't come over, she said. Prince Ning hurriedly retreated and raised his hand to comfort her. Okay, Sushin, I won't come over. I really won't come over. Listen to me. I'm not only doing this for myself, but also for you. When I inherit the throne, you will be the Empress of Zhao country. Princess Ning smiled coldly. Empress? Your Highness, can I really be the Empress? This sentence seemed to have opened a certain gate, and an even stronger emotion rushed out, overshadowing the panic and disappointment just now. She glanced at him coldly and didn't say another word. She turned and left the yard in a daze. Prince Ning didn't force her to stay. He just looked at her disappearing figure in the night and frowned little by little. Master. Qi Fei came over. Are you okay? Prince Ning covered his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. How could he be okay? He was just pretending to be strong in front of her. Qi Fei hurriedly helped Prince Ning into the room. The wound on Prince Ning's body had split open. Qi Fei went to call the doctor to treat Prince Ning. They worked until the second half of the night before they finally got Prince Ning's injury under control. Qi Fei sent the doctor away and said to Prince Ning sincerely, Master, you can't do this anymore. It's too bad for your body. Has Princess Ning rested? Prince Ning asked. Qi Fei was stunned. Princess Ning had made Prince Ning like this. Why was Master still thinking about her? Qi Fei whispered, she has rested. Prince Ning said, it's good that she has rested. Qi Fei said, Master, I'm afraid it's not safe for Princess Ning. She is close to Princess Rui Wang and Dr. Gu. If she leaks the news, Prince Ning paused and said she won't. Qi Fei thought for a while and asked, should I send someone to monitor Princess Ning? Ning Wang shot him a cold glare. Qi Fei shrank his neck. Prince Ning pondered for a moment and didn't reject the proposal. Let them stay away. Don't offend Princess Ning. Also, remember to avoid them when they shouldn't. Qi Fei understood that they couldn't monitor private things like bathing and changing clothes. Prince Ning sighed. Forget it. I'll coax her when she calms down. The most important thing is to solve the problem of Xiao Lulang and Gu Jiao. No, let's deal with Gu Jiao first. This woman was too good at playing tricks. No one knew what she would do in the next moment. Prince Ning had never been afraid of any opponent. Gu Jiao was the first person who made him feel uneasy. Qi Fei said, Your Highness, it's better to send someone to kill her. Prince Ning said coldly, Have you forgotten how the masters who went to assassinate Yuan Tang died? Qi Fei argued. She was there. She might not have done it. At that time, all the masters died. They didn't come back to report. They judged that Gu Jiao was there from the footprints and fallen herbs. Prince Ning touched the jade thumb ring next to his pillow. It's better to be safe than sorry. If we send too few people, we won't be able to kill her. If we send too many people, it will be too noisy. Qi Fei frowned. Is there no way to deal with her? Prince Ning looked at the jade thumb ring. Don't worry. She's more anxious to deal with me than me dealing with her. When the time comes, I'll beat her at her own game. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964226/1100820607 HTML genius. Remember the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Beakage mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com that you're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.